he needs to play a few people at this point in time to see what he's got. Hey, he's seen Mike Kerrigan play. He knows he's a good quarterback, but you're going to see Reggie Slack start at quarterback tonight. Honestly, Bob Obilovich has to find out for the second half of the season what Reggie Slack can do, and there's a few other changes. Kent is in. I mean, defensive backs Kevin Whitley plays. Tommy Henry goes out to the corner. So it's a transition period right now for Bob Obilovich. After the next 2 weeks, he has to make some serious decisions.
Starting Argonaut quarterback for this one tonight will be Tracy Slack. Reggie Slack, I should say, number 10. He saw action against Winnipeg a little bit this season and gets the call ahead of Mike Kerrigan. Tonight's starting lineup brought to you by Speedy Auto Glass. Don't take a chance. Take your auto glass repair and replacement needs to Speedy Auto Glass. And on the other side of the ball, Tracy Ham, who started in Toronto last year and was supposed to be the savior for the Argos. It didn't work out that way. The way that the Argos used Tracy Ham, as Leaf suggested a little earlier, it looked as though Tracy Ham as a quarterback was just about through, but that is definitely not the case. Don Matthews has revitalized him, and he's playing sensational football in Baltimore.
And you know, John, the thing I've always liked about Tracy Ham was he always had a smile on his face. And, well, I'll tell you, halfway through last year in Toronto, the smile had left. Now it's back, coming out in the warm-up tonight down on the field. He had the big grin going. He said, "Hey, Leaf, good to see you. How you been?" All this stuff. And I said, "I don't have to ask you, Tracy, how it's going." And he said, "Part of the reason is Don Matthews. He's made it fun for me again. He's given me responsibility, calling my own plays, and the outlook is very bright for the offense here in Baltimore."
Don Matthews, a head coach in British Columbia, in Toronto, in Regina, and now in Baltimore. And we're almost ready for the kickoff to get this evening underway.
Kicking off for Baltimore, number 00, Donald Iggy.
And they call him Iggy. Igwebike is ready to get the football evening underway. Deep for the Argos, Clemens and Gordon. This is Robert Gordon. And not much running room to the near side as he's rolled out near the 34-yard line. 11 yards on the return after a 53-yard kickoff, and we're ready to get the evening underway. Numbers on Reggie Slack. Not too much to report so far in 1994. 13 of 19. He's thrown some touchdowns and no interceptions, and only 208 yards so far.
And John, I think worthy to note, in those numbers, they occurred in only one game. He came in the second half of a game against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and that is the only playing time he has had. So the pressure is on Reggie Slack tonight to see what he can do.
The Argos, 1st and 10, beginning at the 34. Slack leads the attack. Mike Pinball Clemens slashes off right tackle. He's more than halfway to a first down. Mike Clemens and Dwayne Ford are the running backs in the Slack backfield, and the receivers are Masadi, Gordon, Fairholm, and Drage. And we'll also see a little bit of Tommy Kane a little bit later on.
And a couple of changes of note on the offensive line. Carl Kohler takes over for Blaine Schmidt at center, and Francois Belanger is in at left tackle for the injured Chris Schultz. Chris Schultz should be back for their game against Calgary next Thursday.
The gain is 6. This is 2nd and 4, Toronto. Slack far side on target, first down. Lazati made the catch, and he's out of bounds on the far side of the field, just enough for a first down. Defensively, Baltimore lines up this way with Fields, Pressbury, Gerald Bayless, and O.J. Brigance are the familiar faces up front for Don Matthews' team. Matt Goodwin, Ricky Andrews, and Tracy Gravely, another familiar CFLer.
And 3 former Calgary Stampeders, Charles Anthony, Ken Watson, and Carl Anthony anchored that secondary for Baltimore. Carl Anthony on the corner, an All-Canadian a year ago with Calgary.
From the 45, this is 1st and 10, Toronto. Motion to the near side, and Slack rolls this way. On target, first down for Robert Gordon, who sticks an elbow into one of the defenders down there. Covered by number 7, Tracy Gravely. An 18-yard pickup for Gordon, so a hot start for Reggie Slack and the Argos.
And a great play fake on the counter to Pinball Clemens, and by the time Slack gets outside, he has perfect sight lines downfield to pick out Bobby Gordon. And probably the best move the Argos made this year was to put Gordon from wide receiver in at the slot. Good fake, holds the linebackers, and well, with Bobby Gordon at speed in the slot, he can really be dangerous in that area.
Lazati comes to side on first down. There are markers on the play.
Flag on the play.
Solid crowd on hand in Baltimore. A procedure call against the Toronto Argos.
Illegal procedure, Toronto number 59, first down repeated.
The call is against Toronto, illegal procedure.
Well, that's Pierre Vercheval. Now, you look at that Toronto Argonaut offensive line. Yeah, they've made a couple of changes tonight, but you have to be impressed with the change they have made this year. Only 7 sacks in 6 games. Now, that offensive line gave up 93 a year ago. So you look at the areas that this team has improved. The offensive line is at the top of the list.
That's pretty good numbers. 7 sacks so far this season. First and 15, Toronto. Looks to release quickly over the middle. Look for Mazzotti, and no one was there. That Goodwin applying a little bit of pressure on Reggie Slack that time.
And let's talk about this Baltimore defense. It's a traditional Don Matthews type of defense where they will bring a lot of pressure, a lot of people. Number 39, Matt Goodwin, the outside linebacker, comes right up the gut. There you see 59 Vercheval a little late with the block. And when Reggie Slack wants to go to that 3-step drop, he better get it off in a hurry.
Second and 15, Toronto. Argos out at the 52-yard line of Baltimore. No scoring. It's early in the opening quarter. Slack back in a hurry, got away from the rush, and fired it just a little too high. Gordon again, the intended receiver, and Slack had him in the clear. So a procedure call kind of stalled the drive for the Argos, who had moved out rather effectively.
And I think really that's the rustiness of a Reggie Slack, because his offensive line and backs did a super job to pick up the all-out blitz, and Bobby Gordon was wide open, simply overthrew him. Now you only get so many chances.
This is Lester Smith, number 36. Away from one, and he slipped over the 10-yard line. 7-yard return for number 36. Tracy Ham. Impressive numbers. We compared those in the opening to what he accomplished last year in Toronto. 1,903 yards passing so far, 12 touchdowns. It's a pretty nice number.
Well, the biggest thing as a quarterback, you do not want to beat yourself, and always the touchdown to interception ratio is a reflection of that. And with 12 TDs and only 3 interceptions, you know he's been doing a lot of things right. The smile has returned to his face. Boy, I like to see that.
Mike Pringle is in the backfield along with Tracy Ham, another former player in the Canadian Football League north of the border. Ross Ferrier, the referee, shaken up. It's been a tough week on guys who don't have the gear on. Ray Yock of the Saskatchewan Roughriders shaken up last week and was on crutches on the sidelines in Calgary last night. But Ross seems to be okay.
Well, they had 42,000 seats sold before this game, and with a walk-up anticipating 45. Now, it might look a little empty, but they tell me here, the fans in Baltimore, that this is a late arriving crowd for some reason. Parking's a little rough at Memorial Stadium, and so although it may look a little barren right now, it's going to fill up to pretty close to capacity, and that's sure fun to see.
Baltimore will begin deep inside their own territory, just outside the 10-yard line at about the 10.5.
Now let's talk about Tracy Ham's offense. The big play guy so far has been Chris Armstrong, who was with the Edmonton Eskimos at one time. He'll wear number 81. You see him right in the middle of your screen there. He will be the slot back to the right-hand side. He has been the biggest offensive weapon so far that they have had.
First and 10, Baltimore. Some early movement and flags are down.
Flag on the play.
Rodney Harding likely jumped across a little bit early. Here are the running backs, Tui Palutu and Mike Pringle in the backfield with Tracy Ham. Outside, it's Walter Wilson and Joe Washington. The inside receivers, Sean Beals, played a little in Calgary. Chris Armstrong played a little in Edmonton.
And as you might expect, a very large offensive line. Neil Fort, number 66, the right tackle, comes in at a svelte 6'7", 330.
Penalty was against the Argos for jumping offside. It'll be 1st and 5. Baltimore now across the 15-yard line. Tracy Ham shovels it ahead, and it's quickly read by the Argo defense. Mike Pringle got the call.
Brought down by Kevin Whitley.
And a fellow I've really been impressed with this year on Toronto's defense is 73, Calvin Tiggle. And you know, he's playing with a sore shoulder tonight, but watch how he scrapes. He's a great middle linebacker, tackle to tackle. He's working hard on his pass coverage, but boy, in that tackle to tackle area, he has really impressed me this year.
That was limited to a gain of 2. It'll be 2nd and 3. And this will be enough for a first down. Out across the 25. Pringle got the call again. And a 7-yard gain. Charlie Farms, number 14, made the tackle. The Argos up front have made one shift this week with Swift Birch sliding into the middle. He played outside, but now Kent has come on. Rodney Harding, Campbell, followed by Don Bone, Calvin Tiggle, he was talking about a moment ago, and Charlie Farms.
Now the secondary, really, Tommy Henley is the only change playing the corner. Watch for number 20, D. Thomas. He will come in as an extra defensive back in this game, just added to the roster this week.
From the 25, Tracy Ham looks to throw. He's snowed under and down. So the Argo charge led by Mike Campbell, number 99. Kent was also in the vicinity, number 98. And I guess they're going to give Kent credit with a sack on Tracy Ham that time.
Yeah, and he should go back and thank the secondary, because this is really a coverage sack. That's plenty of time to throw right there. The ball could be gone, but nobody was open. And the sack obviously occurred after that. But the Argonauts, who struggled in their secondary a week ago, have to be better in that area tonight if they want to win.
2nd and 15 as Ham goes to his left this time, fires it on the line, and has a strike. Complete to number 81, Chris Armstrong. McCurdy, the safety of the Argos, over to make the tackle on Armstrong. And a big first down for Baltimore, a 21-yard gain.
And you have to be impressed with the way Chris Armstrong runs patterns. It's his own defense. Now he finds the open hole. Hey, his receiver's in trouble. What does he do? He works back towards the quarterback and steps in front of the defensive back, and that's a lovely play. You watch now how Tracy Ham spreads out this offense. He's got 4 receivers to the wide side of the field.
And goes up the middle with Mike Pringle, who gets across the 45-yard line. Pringle played with Sacramento last year and a couple of games with the Edmonton Eskimos prior to that. And he comes up with 5 yards there. Baltimore drive started back at the 10-yard line.
When Mike Pringle, you talk about him and what his contributions have been to Baltimore. 922 all-purpose yards, off to a tremendous start.
On 2nd and 5, Tracy Ham rolling near side, on target. Walter Wilson, number 84. Ham has looked impressive on this opening drive, a 14-yard gain there on back-to-back first down.
Yeah, watch Walter Wilson. He's going to come down in the zone, and he just settles around in there until the lane opens up. And Tracy Ham on the rollout gives him all kinds of time to find the receiver. But watch, he comes right back in the lane in the zone. That's the open lane created. And Walter Wilson with a lovely pattern, and Tracy Ham keeps a nice opening drive going.
Runners in motion to the right. Pringle gets the toss, and it's quickly read by Don Bone, number 36. Bone missed last week after an injury at home, and he's back in the lineup, limiting that to no gain at all. In fact, a 3-yard loss.
Yeah, you talk about the injury at home. He's out cutting the grass with his lawnmower, and he ran over an old rusty nail in the lawn. It came up and shot right into his leg like a gunshot, and had to go to the hospital and have it surgically removed. So he was, you know what, he told me he was like a millimeter away from hitting an artery, and he would have been in huge trouble, obviously.
2nd down, 13 as Ham unloads, almost, as he looked that time for Walter Wilson, number 84. Wilson had found an open area but couldn't bring it down. Just a little bit high on the toss from Tracy Ham that time.
Yeah, when Tracy Ham comes off the field, he'd probably put on the headphones and talk to Joe Barnes. You remember him. He's the quarterback coach, and Joe Barnes will say, come back to this pattern because it was wide open, just a little overthrown. But Walter Wilson looks like he really knows how to find the soft spots in the zone area. He was in the perfect position. Ball was just a little high.
Josh Miller, averaging 42 yards per punt, standing in at his own 43. No score so far in Baltimore. Mike Clemens Takes it at the 12. And here goes the pinball. A little seam, and that's all he needs. Mike Pinball Clemens. Great run out near the 25. Not that substantial in terms of yardage, but it was a nifty little 13-yard return for the Argos. And Clemens moves to the offensive side of the ball as the Argos come out offensively. With a timeout in Baltimore, we'll continue on CFL Live right after this.
And by Mark's Work Warehouse, closed at work.
No score so far. The Toronto Argonauts against the horse with no name.
You know, I'd like to say a special hello to Shirley McDonald, who's recovering out in Coquitlam, BC, and son-in-law Bob says to say, Shirley, get better soon, and hope you enjoy the game tonight. Incidentally, son-in-law Bob is, of course, head coach Bob Abilovich. Wife Judy is out there helping the mom get better, and we at TSN wish her a speedy recovery.
Obi and Don Matthews, his opposite tonight, members of a very select group in Canadian football, the 100 Win Club. Both have won 100 regular season games in their careers, and both are trying for 101 tonight. Argos with a first down, beginning at the 25. Reggie Slack for the pinball, Mike Clemens, and he's got close to 4 yards. Maybe 3.
John, I think if you take an overview of what has to materialize in this game, I think you look at Toronto and Reggie Slack. He knows that Baltimore is a gambling defense, and already on their opening drive they had a situation where he almost hit Bobby Gordon for a big play, but he knows he's going to get some shots at big plays, and he just has to be ready to convert it.
They mark it a gain of 4, 2nd and 6 facing the Argos with Masadi to the near side. Slack gets a little pressure here, lost the ball. Difficult to see who's come up with it, but the Argos have recovered it. Came right back to Reggie Slack. Slack was looking at a little heat from the Baltimore defense and lost the ball.
Yeah, they'll bring a lot of people. They'll bring 6, 7, 8 people at a time. That time they brought 7, and you know, if Reggie Slack, he's going to have to get rid of the ball a lot quicker than that. Obviously, when he comes off on the sidelines now, you'll have a chat with quarterback coach Tommy Lee, and he'll say, look, go to the 3-steppers and get that ball away quick.
Lamley just got this one away, and Smith takes it on the dead run. He has turned around and slowed down at the 51. 6-yard return after a 37-yard punt. So Baltimore, with Tracy Ham at the controls, will have good field position. Look at this. Lamley just got it away. Matt Goodwin, 39, was very close.
Pretty good acting job by Wayne Lamley there, but the good news for Baltimore, excellent field position to start this drive, and the first one they had was a pretty solid drive. They just missed on 2nd down with a pass overthrown. It's a good-looking offense. They use a lot of motion. You'll see a lot of people move around, try to confuse that Toronto secondary.
3 receivers to the near side, 2 to the far side of the field, and Ham hands off to the lone back, Mike Pringle, number 27. Calvin Tiggle is there, limiting that to a 1-yard gain.
John, we talked about areas that the Argonauts are better in, and obviously the offensive line is one, but the defensive line is one too. As a group, they're putting a lot more pressure on the quarterback, and it starts with the 2 tackles. Tonight, Swift Birch and Rodney Harding are getting good push up the middle, and they've got Calvin Tiggle roaming from tackle to tackle in behind them, and he's going to get better and better.
2nd and 9. Ham will put it up. He has the time and now decides to take off. Lots of room for a first down. Ham goes to the far side and slides out inside the Argo 40. Reggie Pleasant finally over to force Ham to the sideline.
Yeah, this looks like a Doug Flutie play. With these 4 receivers clearing out, it creates a huge lane up in here for Tracy Ham to run with, and that's what a quarterback that uses that many receivers is going to see from time to time, and it's the perfect opportunity for Tracy Ham to take off with the ball. He's averaging over 10 yards a carry, and this is one of the reasons why. When all those receivers clear out, he's got plenty of room.
Ham picked up 20 on the previous play and now throws on first down on target. The tackle made by Kevin Whitley. The reception by Walter Wilson.
Walter Wilson with his 29th catch of the year, and watch Tracy Ham step up on that front foot, and that's the sign of a quarterback that's going to get lots of mustard on the football. You step up on the left foot, get the good release, and his receivers are really working hard for him here, running some nice, precise pass patterns.
Wilson picked up 23 yards to set the Argos up 1st and 10, just inside the 15, and to the end zone. And it's picked off right on the line, picked off by Whitley. And his return is out across the 20-yard line and across the 30.
Tracy Ham pass.
Big play by the Argo defense just when Baltimore looked to be headed for the end zone.
Well, John, we talked about what the difference might be in the game, the 13th man, but the difference, too, is Toronto's secondary. Can they come up with some turnovers tonight? And they get a big, important one early here.
0 still on the scoreboard with Toronto and Baltimore on CFL Live. How you doing? You can call out the names and you see them if you know what you got.
Argonauts gets them out of what would have been a huge hole as the Baltimore CFL club was driving towards their end zone. And that's one thing that Toronto coach Bob Obilovich loves to see and hasn't seen much from his football team. Obilovich's club has given up 50 points in back-to-back games.
Well, we have to play better as a whole unit on defense. You know, the guys up front have to get more pressure. It goes hand in hand as far as your DBs playing better then. And then your DBs, when it's called upon, they got to do some good things in coverage aspects so that it gives your front four a chance to get there. So I think that we just have to play a more complete game as a defensive unit, learn from our mistakes because we're a young football team back there. And hopefully when we go one-on-one, the guys will have learned something in the last couple of ball games because we've played against good receivers and good quarterbacks in our last two outings that have taught us a few things. And hopefully, knowing Tracy as well as we do, the things we got planned for the game tonight are the kind of things we hope can help us win the football game and control him better than we did the last 2 weeks.
And as Obi was talking, quarterback Reggie Slack completed a first down toss to Robert Gordon to get the Argos out across the 45. Gain is 13 yards.
Boy, John, you look at this Argonaut receiving core with Mazzotti and Drage on the outside, Fairholm and Gordon at the slot. So that's a good-looking receiver core. You throw Tommy Kane into the mix as maybe a 5-pack, and this is a solid group.
Slack gives it to the pinball, and here goes Mike Clemens. Away from a couple of defenders, Clemens is down to the 30-yard line. A superb run by the pinball, Mike Clemens. Gravely made the tackle, number 7, 31 yards the gain. And that's what Don Matthews was talking about when he says that Mike Clemens is the most exciting player in the Canadian Football League.
Well, he's got all the moves, got all the desire, and you know his career was in jeopardy a year ago, and all of a sudden he has been rejuvenated, much like a Tracy Ham, with a much better system for him.
Argos set up at the Baltimore 30, first down. This is Mazzotti cutting in across the middle. He's down inside the 25 to about the 24.
Well, this is a play that has really had a resurgence in 1994. About 10 years ago, the wide receiver screen was being used by everybody, and now all of a sudden, about 10 years later, it's being brought back as a good first down call. Usually, if the timing's right, you're going to get 6 or 7 yards, and it's a solid first down play.
That's what they got there, 6 yards to make this 2nd and 4. Argos at the Baltimore 24. Slack himself, he'll have the first down. A little dangerous for the quarterback to be running like that, but Slack does pick up the first down. One thing Reggie Slack does give the Argos at quarterback is a little more mobility, not necessarily carrying the ball, but moving the pocket around a little bit.
I don't know if I really agree with that one. I think Mike Kerrigan's a little underrated in his running abilities too, but certainly on 2nd and 4, an excellent call. Spread your receivers out, and then the design quarterback draw. Usually you're going to get a pretty good seam up off tackle.
9 yards the gain there. 1st and 10 at the 19. Shotgun for Reggie Slack. There's a marker down as Slack finds Drage cutting across the middle. He is inside the 10. 10 yards the gain. We'll check out the infraction. The indication is against Baltimore.
Pretty good design play to get Eric Drage underneath the coverage. Watch how they clear out. Clear out, Drage underneath. Nice lane is created for him. Just apologize, my monitor went down for a brief moment
Yeah,
there.
your pictures disappeared.
Yeah, but a nice design. You get Fairholm and Bobby Gordon with the great speed to clear out, and then Drage cuts underneath. Well-executed play.
Penalty declined by the Argos, so it'll be a first down. Goal to go Toronto. And the ball spotted at the Baltimore 8. Slack himself off tackle, grabs maybe a yard and a half or two.
Reggie Slack on the keeper.
Fields, number 50, the stop.
Ernest Fields makes a great play. He's a converted middle linebacker playing at the rush end spot tonight, and Reggie Slack went down the line of scrimmage. That's the player they're trying to option against, and he was really cagey, was Ernest Fields right that time. He faked like he was going to go to Clements, and then he came back and cut down on Reggie Slack. Pressure's on Fields tonight. Baltimore has signed Elfrid Payton as a rush end, but Fields plays well tonight. Who knows? Maybe he'll keep the job.
Second and goal to go at the 8-yard line. The pitch to Clemens. He cuts it in. Touchdown, Mike Clemens. Solid drive as Mike Clemens takes it in from 8 yards out to give the Argos the lead for the first time and to put the first points of the evening up on the board. 6-0 Toronto.
Pretty interesting call by Bob Obilovich. They call all the plays from the sidelines, and I think he took the Baltimore defense by surprise on second and goal from the 6. And good block initially on Tracy Gravely, number 7, and Pinball Clements with a solid cutback. And boy, he's running tough for a little guy out there tonight.
Lamely makes it 7-0 Toronto, and Clemens a big part of the entire drive. He broke one for 31 yards to set the Argos up inside the 35-yard line and then takes it into the end zone. A nice little handoff from Reggie Slack. The Argos in front of Baltimore. It's 7-0, and that's the end of quarter number 1. This is CFL Live from Baltimore.
Watch Mike Clements. He takes the little pitch, and then it's the cutback, but he gets the lead block from Ford 34 on Tracy Gravely, and that sets the whole play up. There's the lead block on the outside. You just see it at the left of your screen, and then the natural lane is created, and Mike Clements, for a small guy, runs over the middle linebacker, Ricky Andrews, and very impressive march for Toronto. And they need a confidence builder, and to get off to a 7-0 lead, it will go a long way to restoring that.
Ready for the second quarter to get underway at Memorial Stadium in Baltimore.
The element of surprise on the goal line. Run the ball when the defense thinks you're going to throw. Work to perfection.
Tracy Hammond engineered a couple of pretty good drives for Baltimore. One ended with an interception.
Yeah, the
Toronto's on the goal line.
Toronto secondary fooled them. Tracy was thinking, man, they went zone, and Whitley snuck underneath with the key interception, and now they go down and convert it into 7 points.
2 deep for Baltimore, including Sheldon Cantley, number 20. And we still await Lamley's kickoff. He played 7 games in '93 with the Argos, got the dual role this year, and has struggled at times for Toronto as a place kicker in particular. But he's still hanging on to the job, and
but the pressure is squarely on him. He's 11 of 20 in field goals. That's what he is being paid to do. Yes, he's the punter, but most important part is his field goal kicking. There's a little breeze. It gets a little gusty here. It kind of comes and goes tonight.
And the kickoff rolling out far side, so they'll do it all over again and waste a little bit more time.
Yeah, those are the kind of kicks and plays that will make Bob Obilovich's hair grow a little thinner. Kicking it out of bounds, lose 5 yards. Now all of a sudden field position takes a beating.
Scoring drive covered 75 yards in 7 plays. Mike Clements finished it off with a 7-yard rush. He was also instrumental in a big first down when he broke one for 31 yards to keep that Argo drive rolling.
Yeah, I don't think Don Matthews is too concerned because he knows his offense has tremendous capabilities to come from behind. You know, you look at offenses, and are they the big play explosive offense, or are they the grinded out type? And I think Baltimore has a nice blend of both.
Argos have made 6 roster changes for this game tonight. We still haven't seen Tommy Kane in on offense. Number 82, signed by the Argos this week. Now Lamley's kick. Taken by Canley at the 30-yard line. Dan Ron. And he breaks one out near the 50-yard line before he's dropped at about the 53. Leading the Argo tacklers, D. Thomas, number 20. He's one of the newcomers in the Toronto lineup. Numbers from the opening quarter, and it's fairly even in time of possession. Yards passing is even as well, and slight edge in rushing to the Argos thanks to Mike Clemens. And turnover cost points to Baltimore because they were definitely within field goal range. Starting field position here is excellent, though, beginning at the 53 as Ham throws, and this one grabbed off by the center fielder, Brian McCurdy.
Yeah, it's not going to matter, John. Interference is going to be called on the Argonauts. All the players knew it out there. They kind of went half speed after the flag dropped. Tommy Henry had a wonderful battle going with Joe Washington, and I think we'll see Mike Campbell arguing, but I'd be shocked if this didn't come back and was a first down for Baltimore.
Yeah, they're yapping over there on the Toronto bench. McCurdy was just out there playing center field.
Well, I know it's a mandate for their secondary tonight to play the receivers a little tighter. They've been accused of playing soft. Now, there's some interference right there. Crispina, number 19. Tommy Henry, 6 earlier than that, held Washington all the way off the line of scrimmage.
And Campbell is upset. That's Mike Campbell. A little bit angry at Tracy Ham.
Well,
Gordon, what did you see down there?
Gentlemen, I can tell you why Mike Campbell and Tracy Ham are getting after it after the interception. In fact, a long time after. Mike Campbell looked around to see if anyone was looking. No one was. He threw Ham down hard and gets an objectionable conduct penalty that will be added on to the end of this play.
Objectionable conduct is the indication. And they haven't marched the yards off quite yet.
It's funny, John, you know, when an interception is thrown, usually one of the defensive linemen starts looking right away for the quarterback, because obviously he becomes live game. But well after the play had been whistled dead, Mike Campbell gave Tracy Ham a rough ride. And those are the little mental mistakes that can really start to add up during a game. Holding, roughing, all of a sudden you put Baltimore in scoring position.
It'll cost you 20 yards. And Tracy Ham is set up just outside the 35 at the 37-yard line. First and 10 Baltimore, 14:26 to go till halftime, with Toronto in the lead, 7-0. Ham stands in all kinds of time. Great catch. Robert Clark, number 86, went up and brought that one down inside the 20.
Former Toronto Argonaut had 50 receptions for the Argos a year ago, was their number 2 receiver, and it's all protection. Tracy Ham has that kind of time to throw. Only a matter of time before one of his 5 receivers out there is able to get open.
20-yard gain for Clark. And now Baltimore at the 18-yard line with a first down. Ham uses the shotgun once more. This time handing off, and Pringle has a couple. Grabbed from behind by Swift Birch, number 90. And Tiggle is also in there, number 73 for the Argos.
Interesting, Toronto will take some chances defensively when they're backed up towards their own goal line tonight. They were anticipating pass, and Crespina, number 19, the defensive back, was coming on the halfback blitz. Dennis Myers said, you know, we'd like to zone a lot tonight against these dangerous receivers, but every once in a while we have to change things up, and we're going to throw the kitchen sink at Tracy Ham and try and confuse him.
It worked that time. Absolutely no gain on the play. 2nd and 10. Ham again from the shotgun at the 18. Looking to the end zone. Touchdown. Tracy Ham to Chris Armstrong. Familiar combination for Baltimore. Touchdown number 7 for Armstrong. A 17-yard toss from Tracy Ham.
Only the 7th time that Chris Armstrong has done this year. Watch the move to the outside. Take that outside shoulder. Boom. Back to the post. Defensive back has to do a speed turn. He's a little too late, and it's all set up what Tracy Ham sees in here. No safety. Aha. Work him outside. come back to the post. Kevin Whitley has no post help. He should be taking the inside away a lot harder than he is. And oh boy, that's just a little too easy. It's too soft when you're down there in a blitz and you've got man-to-man coverage. You got to come up and challenge a little tougher than that.
Fans love this guy. Iggy adds the converts, and it's 7-7. Baltimore and Toronto.
Well, that's a good pattern by Chris Armstrong, and I'll tell you, when Tracy Ham saw the middle open, he was thinking one thing and one thing alone. Hey, I'm going to hit the home run fast and end this drive with 6 points, and boy, is he on target right there. That's a great look.
It's 7-7 in Baltimore. Lots more ahead before halftime. Here with us, CFL Live on TSN.
How's everybody at home?
Hey, Jack.
Welcome back to Baltimore, where Don Matthews' team is right back in it and is in the race for first place in the East, thanks in large part to the play of his quarterback. There were a lot of people who thought that maybe Tracy Ham was finished as a CFL quarterback. He's proving this year that he's anything but, showing his MVP form of 5 years ago, and Don Matthews has some reasons why.
Well, I think the thing we're doing with Tracy differently is we're getting him back away from the line of scrimmage. He's doing a lot of shotgun. He's able to call his own plays, and we're doing a lot of different formations that he really feels comfortable with. And when he feels comfortable, he's a very productive football player, as he was with Edmonton in the previous years and as he is now in Baltimore.
And John and Leaf, the other thing he's very comfortable with, Baltimore's no-huddle offense. The Baltimore club has huddled fewer than a couple of dozen times this year. Ham loves the look and loves running an offense like that.
Yeah, Gord, what that does even more is not allow the defense to make a lot of changes on the run. They can't signal in from the sidelines, and boy, has it ever been effective for them.
Kickoff coming down to Robert Gordon for the Argo return. A little seam to the near side, and Gordon still standing as he crosses the 50, rolled out at about the 53.
Forced out of bounds by Reggie.
So superb field position for the Argos now, and quarterback Reggie Slack, who has engineered one touchdown drive and gave the Argos the lead briefly.
Well, you're going to see a great block by 31 Mike Clemens coming right in front of your face. There it was. It's tough to see it went out of the picture, but trust me, he just absolutely annihilated a Baltimore player, and that opened up the seam for Bobby Gordon. The pinball does it all.
Argos from the 53 as Slack uses the shotgun and fires to the far side. Mazzati has the catch, and he's driven back. Or rather, Fairholm.
And that's a
reception for Fairholm.
Yeah, and that's a good scheme for Reggie Slack. He's got 4 receivers to the wide side of the field, and you roll that way and clear out. Give it to Fairholm 6 yards downfield. I mean, it's an easy pass to complete, and it's the old adage, you know, you can play ball control with their passing game, and I think Slack can do that tonight.
Carl Calder is the starting center for Toronto, and a little off target there in that previous one.
That's pretty good hands by Slack to get it.
He got 5 yards. This is 2nd and 5. Snap better this time. And Slack on target. This is Mazzati running across in a slant pattern. He is inside the 20-yard line. What a great run by Paul Mazzati. Caught by Irvin Smith, number 21.
You know, John, corners around the league tell me he's one of the most difficult guys to cover because he's so deceptive with his speed. He changes speeds, and watch how sharply he breaks that off. He works right into the body of Irvin Smith and cuts it hard to the inside, and then he gets his separation. And, well, you talk to corners around the league, they say, hey, this guy is so deceptive, that's what makes him tough.
35 yards in the previous play for Mazzati. The Argos set up inside the 20 at the 18. First down. As Slack hands off to the pinball Mike Clemens, he cuts it to the outside, and Clemens is rolled down at about the 10-yard line. Good run by Mike Clemens. Marker down.
We got a flag down on the play.
Charles Anthony, number 9, was in on the tackle after a 9-yard gain. Looks like a little face masking call to get pinball on the ground.
And Reggie Slack is throwing a nice assortment of plays at Baltimore right now.
Major foul, face mask, Baltimore number 57, first down.
O.J. Brigance wears 57 for Baltimore.
It's a nice look. Slack's been running a lot of rollouts and some counters thrown in there, and then you run the counter draw. Pretty good look to keep Baltimore off balance.
Argos are now set up 1st and goal at the 5.
Yeah, Tommy Kane comes in for his first appearance.
7-7. The pitch to the pinball, and he squirts through for the touchdown. That's 2 for Mike Clemens, and the Argos have the lead one more time. Clemens with 2 touchdowns, and the Argos playing a lot better this week. They've been able to manufacture some big plays and got set up at the 5-yard line here.
Yeah, once again, the key on the goal line is the block of your fullback. Watch the kick out right there, and then for pinball, it's pretty easy running into the end zone. But Dwayne Ford is an excellent blocking fullback. Watch as he stays with his man right there to the outside, and boy, I'll tell you what, pinball cuts right off his tail into the end zone, and what a spectacular looking drive that was. Back-to-back drives for touchdowns for the Argonauts.
Lamley adds the single points, and on the board, the Argos have a 14-7 lead on Baltimore with 10:25 to go till halftime. An exciting first half so far. And here's the pinball into the end zone for the second time.
Yeah, and he's running north-south. Square those shoulders up, get into that line of scrimmage and make something happen. And the Argonauts have had a solid first quarter.
Pinball celebrates a couple of TDs. It's 14-7 Toronto.
Toronto leading Baltimore 14-7 in the second quarter. This Baltimore defense has been pretty good so far this season. It might get even better if the man standing to my right joins him, Alfred Payton, ex of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and most recently ex of the Shreveport Pirates. What was your reaction to being cut by Shreveport?
It was kind of disappointing, but the good news is, I was able to get on with somebody, and, hopefully I can come in and help the team out as much as I can.
You must be excited about getting a chance to play in front of a crowd like this.
Oh, yeah, it's great. You had that fan support like this, it really helps out.
Alfred, thanks very much. Good luck.
And thank you.
Sheldon Canley has a return out across the 30-yard line, and that's where Baltimore will begin on next possession as Tracy Ham heads up. Couple of pretty good scoring drives on the last 2 possessions. Tracy Ham engineered one to get even with Reggie Slack and the Argos. Let's see what he can do here. Walter Wilson, number 84, to the near side with 2 other receivers. So Ham floods his receiving core with 4 deep, near side of the field. Swings it out to Pringle coming out of the backfield looking for a block. Didn't get it that time, and he was grabbed by Kevin Whitley. No gain. So Pringle stopped for no gain.
Kevin Whitley did a heck of a job, and you can do that when you play in zone defense. Toronto loves zone on first down, and what happens is your halfbacks have really no responsibilities except the flat, so they can get up and force the play. And Calvin Tingle shows some pretty good range from middle linebacker as well. The zone coverage in the secondary always gives you decent run support. Watch the halfback blitz. Bottom of the screen, right?
Charge was on. Ham got it away, and a great catch out at the 50-yard line. Didn't hang on. Robert Clark was the intended receiver. I thought he had it, but they rule no catch.
Well, it's good-looking offensive play. Nevertheless, Robert Clark, as soon as he clears the linebackers right in that area, you watch Tracy Ham, the ball is in the air just as he gets even with them. Now, as soon as he clears, boom, now it's in, and Toronto's in trouble. But Clark can't hang on to the football. But, it's worth showing because from an execution standpoint, yeah, Tracy Ham thought, whoa, I executed perfectly. How come he didn't catch it?
Josh Miller standing back at his 15.
That's what's so good about Tracy Ham, his recognition. He sees zone. He says, okay, I got to put it into that lane. My receiver will go get it. Just didn't happen that time, but still it was a solid play.
And that was a big break for the Argos because they should end up with super field position here on the return by Pinball Clemens, although there's nowhere for Pinball this time. Markers are down everywhere, and Pinball is stopped in his tracks. Turf here at Memorial Stadium is a little slippery. They had heavy rains here over the past couple of days, and in fact 2 days ago they said the field was almost underwater.
Illegal block, Toronto number 20.
The call is against Toronto.
So all of a sudden the penalty going against Toronto and no return, and what should have been good field position, or looked like it was going to be, is back to very average at the 30.
You know, you talk about the field, John, and yes, it is soft, and what cleats the players wear become such a decision. There you see push right in the back. D. Thomas, number 20.
Mazzotti to the near side and first down. Smelly, the ball carrier.
Hands off to Kevin Smelly.
Number 33.
Harold Davis on stop.
5 yards for Smelly.
Yeah, he had the job at training camp, but Dwayne Ford simply took it away from him with his play in preseason. But nevertheless, throughout the course of the season, Kevin Smelly still gets some playing time in there. Give Dwayne Ford a rest occasionally.
Tommy Kane, one of the wide receivers, flanked to the far side of the field. He wears number 82. 2nd and 5. Slack stands in and fired that one into the turf. No receivers anywhere in the vicinity. Closest was Paul Mazzotti, but he had no opportunity to catch that one.
So after back-to-back drives for touchdowns, the Baltimore defense tightens up a bit there, and the Toronto Argonauts are a quick 2 and out.
Slack has been impressive in his first start of 1994, engineering 2 touchdown drives.
Yeah, I think for the most part, his offensive line has given him some solid time to throw, and boy, that'll help your confidence too if you're not getting sandbagged on every play.
Good kick by Lamely. This is Smith waiting for it at the 20. Slowed by the first man, and then dropped at the 32. Crespina was upfield, and the first tackler to get to number 36, Lester Smith. Carl Coulter finally over to make the tackle. 7:41 to go till halftime, with the Argos leading Baltimore 14-7. Looking at a replay here right now. 1st and 10 Baltimore. Ham for Sean Beals. And there's a penalty marker down on the play, so we'll check that out for you.
4. After yards were gained, it will be 1st and 10.
So the 1st and 10 will stand. The penalty against Baltimore after that. Illegal participation. It's a little confusing.
Yeah, what that means is one of the players stepped out of bounds and then came back in to participate in the play, and of course you can't do that.
Yeah, that explains it quite succinctly. Here's Ham on first down. Outrunning Harding and stopped short of a first down on the far side. Crespina was over there. Number 19 to run Tracy Ham out of bounds. Still a nice run. And a gain of close to 8 yards.
Yeah, we talked about Doug Flutie last night running to pass, and I think Tracy Ham fits into that category now too. Sure, he can still run very effectively, but that whole play he was just running, buying himself some extra time to try and find a receiver. It didn't materialize, but that's the change in his game too. Run to find an open spot to throw to someone.
2nd and 2 Baltimore. Pringle gets the call and should have the first down as he squirted off right tackle.
By Calvin Tiggle.
Tiggle thought that maybe he got to the running back before he made the necessary 2 yards.
Well, he was coming hard from that middle linebacker spot, and he got some pretty interesting penetration early, and they will definitely have to measure for this one. But what's worth repeating, Calvin Tiggle, he is tough from tackle to tackle.
And as we wait for the measurements, tonight's best seat in the stadium is seat number 5, row 14, upper section 5.
See how just how close it is to a Baltimore first down. Well, Tiggle was right. It'll be 3rd down, less than a yard to go for Baltimore. Is there any decision to be made here? Matthews just go for it.
None whatsoever.
Ball at the 46. 3rd down, less than a yard to go. And with Tracy Ham at the controls, it seems like a pretty safe gamble.
Well, you look a yard off the ball, and boy, he could just fall forward for a couple of inches.
And he got a couple of inches, not a whole bunch more, but it should be a first down, Baltimore. 14-7, Toronto leading Baltimore. 6:11 to go until halftime. Pretty interesting first half of football at Memorial Stadium in Baltimore.
Yeah, it's funny how the crowd kind of hushed there with the third down gamble. I think years ago they were much more concerned when the Baltimore Colts were going for it, when the lines were nose to nose, but as they become more accustomed to the Canadian game, they'll know that on 3rd and inches it's not that much of a breathtaking play that it might have been 15-odd years ago here.
On first down, Ham stands in and fires for another first down out at the 50-yard line. 12 yards to gain. Robert Clark has the catch.
Well, and they've used him effectively here in the first half as their 5th receiver, and well, you have to think for him a little extra incentive tonight to play against a team that let him go. There he is over the middle, and well, that's a good matchup for them. Linebacker on Robert Clark. I like Clark's chances.
Ham far side. And that was Walter Wilson, number 84. The outside receiver along with Joe Washington. Gain of 7.
But see, you get into the second quarter now, and Tracy Ham's had enough drives to know that Toronto's playing zone on first down. Look at Tommy Henry. He's just running out of there, and boy, the quick out for 7 yards is the perfect call against that. And you know, they chart the game upstairs in the spotter's booth, and Tracy Ham, every time he comes off, he gets a reading on it, and that's the perfect call.
Wilson comes to the near side this time. It's 2nd and 3. And not much running room up the middle for Mike Pringle, number 27. He stopped well short of the first down.
Boy, Mike Campbell, the defensive end, did a super job to get penetration, and well, that is one of the areas that the Toronto front four has really improved in their short yardage situations, getting that initial penetration. And boy, they want to run the trap, but look at Campbell. He just sticks Keith Ballard, 62, right back into the hole and then gets some help. So once again, another 3rd down gamble.
Now this is a little more interesting. This is 3rd and a long 2 for Baltimore. And Ham looks to go around the outside himself. Can he get to the outside? He's stopped by Tiggle. Calvin Tiggle, number 73, put the stop on Tracy Ham. So one gamble paid off, and the next one for Don Matthews did not.
Yeah, that looked like a doomed play from the snap. Something was just missing there as Ham tried to get to the outside, and Calvin Tiggle sneaks under the block of Mike Pringle, and boy, that will go as a turnover against the Baltimore CFLers. 2nd one of the night.
Argos with the lead by a touchdown at 14-7. 4:19 till halftime.
Yeah, there's Joe Moss, the defensive line coach and linebacker coach, having a chat with Tiggle. There was some talk that he may not play tonight. He had a sore shoulder and missed a couple of days of practice, but he was able to rehabilitate quickly and get in the lineup tonight. Yeah, it's a hot one.
Little sticky down there on the field here in Baltimore, Gord.
Well, we've talked about the crowd here in Baltimore, and Leaf, you mentioned a moment ago that it looked a little empty here in the first quarter, and I was asking Jim Spiros, the owner of the team, why. He says, hey, everyone's out tailgating till about 20 after 8. Well, it's 8:30 here now in Baltimore, and this huge house in excess of 42,000 has taken its place. Natural grass, a full stadium, it's what football should be, and perhaps the most impressed people here are the Argo players who, while I was standing with them, were just awestruck at the atmosphere in this building. The fans right into it seem very knowledgeable. It's a lot of fun here tonight.
Yeah, you're right, Gord. I was talking to some of the Argo players, and they said, boy, what a thrill to come and play to a full house. And maybe the 13th man's working in their favor a little bit.
Well, the Argo players contributed to this full house. Some of them were buying upwards of 200 tickets for friends. Swift Birch bought a bunch, didn't he?
Swift Birch bought 250. Marvin Graves, the backup quarterback, bought 200. Reggie Pleasant bought 75. Now, if we can get them to do that in Toronto.
Yeah, they filled the Sky Dome. 1st and 10 Argos. Good fake to the pinball Clemens. And then over for Ford. Dwayne Ford made the catch. 7 yards the gain. Ford is out across the 50.
And once again, both teams tonight are making excellent first down play selections. And you know, Dwayne Ford usually up on the line of scrimmage blocking for Reggie Slack to get him to the outside, so they just sneak him on a little screen play, and it's a good look because Ford is mainly a blocker. Now they use him on the screen, and boy, they get solid yardage on first down. Makes your life easy as a quarterback when you're 2nd and 2 all the time.
Lozati to the near side on 2nd down, and this will be enough for the first down. Smelly, the ball carrier that time, number 33. So Bob Obilovich used Dwayne Ford on one play, Kevin Smelly on the other, and comes up with a first down.
And he got a good block from Joe Burgos, number 69, the right tackle. He's a newcomer. He's an import in that offensive line, and boy, has he been rock solid. And you know, as the front side tackle in the quarterback's face, boy, you always need some real solid protection, and he's really given the Argo line that in that area. There he is at the bottom of your screen there, number 69. But not too many defensive ends have been able to get around him, and that allows both Kerrigan and Slack to just step up into that pocket and deliver some balls with some mustard on it.
Slight delay, but we're ready to get underway again on first down, Toronto. Good fake, a little play action to the pinball. Long toss by Reggie Slack. The intended receiver, Jeff Fairholm, drew a pile of coverage down there, but in the backfield, Reggie Slack was nailed, and there are markers all over the place.
Holding, Toronto number 34, first down is given.
Holding call against Dwayne Ford. I thought it was roughing on Slack. Timeouts at Memorial Stadium with 2:52 to go till halftime. Argo first down when we return on CFL Live. Next Argo game features the Calgary Stampeders in town at Skydome. Tickets available. Call Ticketmaster. Stampeders are on a great roll right now after winning their 6th straight game, and that'll be a pretty good ball game at Skydome.
John, I can tell the fans in Toronto, if they want to watch some offense, come and see Doug Flutie, Alan Pitts, Will Moore, Dave Sapunjas, Tony Stewart. I mean, you look at that team, and they have a lot of stars, and they're a fun team to watch.
You didn't even name them all.
No, I mean, I can't. There's 24.
This will be 1st and 20. Argo's back at the 46. Heat on Reggie Slack. He got it away for the pinball, and he's got about 6 yards back. About 14 yards shy of a first down. 2:28 to go till halftime, with the Argos hanging on to a 14-7 lead on Baltimore. Argos scored on a turnover earlier and are working on a turnover right now, but the odds a little long with 2nd and 15 facing Toronto right now. Slack slips, and he'll go down. Pressbury getting through to the Toronto quarterback.
He's been the best pass rusher they've had on the defensive front, number 72. There he is at the top of your screen, and as Slack steps up into the pocket, Pressbury, 72, is right there with the hit. That's his 6th sack of the season, although I think he'll share it with a few other guys, but he has been their #1 defensive lineman in the pass rush department.
3rd and a bunch as Lamely gets ready to unload this one. High kick. Lester Smith at the 20, grabbed by the first Argo upfield. Solid downfield tackle by Blaine Schmidt, number 57.
Top USA, your computer superstore, invites Baltimore business community to Townsend to see our new location in modern training.
So Tracy Ham gets a chance before halftime with 1:48 to work with. Lots of time for a quarterback with his experience and abilities. Lots of time to get even.
He likes to run the hurry up anyway, so this is the perfect opportunity to capitalize on that.
Chris Armstrong has the lone touchdown for Baltimore so far. Shotgun for Ham, and it was dropped Joe Washington, number 80. Had it, would have had about a 5-yard gain anyway.
Well, you know, you talk about Tracy Hammond, a hurry up on the other side of the coin. Toronto's thinking, hey, 2 and out, we'll take a timeout, and we may get a chance at some points. And drop balls always kill you. You're trying to desperately to work down the field and get some points before the half. Joe Washington cops it up. Only his second game, played in the opener and then missed the other 5.
2nd and 10. Baltimore at the 20. Here comes the heat on Ham. Markers are down. Catch is made, but short of a first down. Beals made the catch, number 85. Indication is the penalty is against Baltimore.
And I think what Toronto will do, if they're smart, is just decline it because they don't want to give Baltimore any more time to kill the clock. They're going to get the ball back with plenty of time themselves in some pretty decent field position. So yes, they do in fact decline it. So now is when Reggie Slack's got to start saying to his group on the sidelines, okay guys, there's 1:40. We're going to get it with plenty of time. Go. Let's try and really take control of this game. We've got a 7-point lead. Let's see if we can add to it.
Josh Miller, number 22.
You know, this could be the kind of a drive coming up for Toronto where Reggie Slack really has an opportunity to show some leadership and, you know, rally this team.
Big cheer that you hear in this stadium right now. Johnny Unitas and a couple of other great Baltimore football players from the other era will be honored at halftime. Art Donovan is there. Johnny Unitas is there.
Well, you think they have a few memories as they walk back out onto this field?
They're putting up a ring of honor around this Memorial Stadium. Lenny Moore as well. Part of the halftime ceremony here. The fans watched the former greats walk out onto the field. 3rd down kick, bouncing to the pinball Mike Clemens. Markers are down as Clemens looks for room to the far side. A little slippery out there, can't quite turn the corner, and he's wrestled down by Charles Anthony. Yeah, going back a few years, Leif, I think we all watched those. Wonderful and great players. Well, in another era of football. Lenny Moore there. So they'll be honored at halftime here at Memorial Stadium.
Boy, Mike Clemens knows the situation so well. He can't afford to lose any yards, and a little one-hander, he has the confidence to make that catch, and in doing so, he will entrap Baltimore, get the no yards penalty, another 15 yards.
Must give the receiver 5 yards on the kickoff.
So that is a big break for Toronto, and it's all set up by Mike Clemens' anticipation.
No yards against Baltimore, but also rough play called against Baltimore. That's why the ball has been marched down to the 40-yard line.
So all of that just took 13 seconds, 1:27 to go from the 41. What a perfect opportunity for the Argonaut offense to capitalize on that big break.
So from the 41, it is a first down Toronto with 1:27 to go till halftime. The Argos leading 14-7. Slack getting a rush from the backside, and he missed. Eric Drage on the sideline.
And that's from inactivity in Reggie Slack, because that's a ball that should have been thrown at least a second before he did. You've got to recognize the coverage. Soft zone, so let that thing fly early. It would have been an easy pass to complete, but the longer he waited, then the coverage got there.
It'll be 2nd and 10 with 1:22 till halftime. Argos lead it by a touchdown. Reggie Slack has moved Toronto impressively as the starter in this one. There's a long way to go. Jeff Fairholm the catch, and that'll be a first down or close enough. It's within inches, and they do rule it a first down. 11-yard gain for Jeff Fairholm, and that's a key catch for Toronto. 1:17 to go till halftime. Slack has the hurry-up offense going. Low snap. As he looks for Drage, fighting back, and that draws a penalty marker. Graves was fighting for the ball. Carl Anthony was covering.
Yeah, no question they're going to call Eric Graves on this. I think he was thinking that Carl Anthony might have a chance to pick it off, and he really tried to fight through. You'll see a good look at it right here. No question about that one. In some ways, a pretty good penalty to take. Anthony had a pretty good shot to pick that off, and that would have totally killed this drive. At least now you live for another down.
Get one more opportunity.
Yeah, it's like
still
that,
a chance to go for 3.
Like that old hockey play. Have a breakaway, give him a trip, because what the heck. That's a good penalty, as they say. That's the analogy I'm trying to make.
Save the goal, or at least save the ball in this case.
Well, it's going to be 1st and 20, but that's better than giving it up. Still 1:09 to go.
Yeah, and the Argos would just as soon finish all the time off the clock anyway. If they can't score, they might as well try and run it down with a final 1:09. So 1st down, 20 to go, Toronto. Ball back at the 40. For the pinball, Mike Clemens. He breaks one, and Clemens is inside the 30 to almost the 25-yard line. So he's more than halfway back. 13-yard gain for Mike Clemens.
Yeah, nice
first half.
Yeah, he lines up as a wide receiver and cuts in underneath. Kind of a pick play there, but they get some excellent yardage.
2nd and 7, far side. And Slack is off target. Intending that for Robert Gordon. So 56 seconds to go till halftime.
It's been an interesting first half for Reggie Slack. At times he has looked very sharp and very sure of himself out there, and then at other times he's been very tentative, and that was certainly a tentative throw out there trying to hit Bobby Gordon. Gordon had run a good pattern, but the ball was just kind of soft and late. That only comes with playing time, so you know exactly where your receivers are going to be, and you don't even have to think about it. You just let that ball fly before they make that final break.
Marvin Graves is holding for Lamely's field goal try. And there's a penalty marker down. The kick sailed through. Offside against Baltimore is the early indication from Ross Perrier.
Flag on the play.
Thought it would set up a 3rd and 2, but
Offside, Baltimore number 3, declined. Field goal is good.
yeah, there's an old adage, you never take points off the board, and although they maybe could have thought about a 3rd down gamble, I think that old adage is a good one to live by in this case. Take those 3.
I think you do, because the kicking hasn't been all that solid for the Argos so far this season. So take the 3 when you can get it, and look at a rather comfortable 17-7 lead heading to the dressing room. But then again, 52 seconds on the board, and that means time for Tracy Ham and the Baltimore offense. Shotgun. On target. Joe Washington made the catch and grabs about 4 yards. Now 46 seconds till halftime.
Well, you know, Tracy's thinking points. That's an eternity in this game, and he certainly has plenty of time to get his field goal kicker, Igwebike, in range for an attempt. He has the wind at his back.
This is 2nd and 6, Baltimore. Markers down. Tracy Ham tries to get out of there, lost the ball, and luckily got it back himself. Recovered his own fumble, Tracy Ham.
Brought down by Campbell. We have a flag on the play.
Campbell stripped it away.
Had Joe Washington, the wide receiver, takes a quick jump, and he will be called for offside. Now he's dropped the ball. He's had an offside penalty. Not a great half for him.
And run a little more time off the clock.
Always offside.
So Washington is off to the sidelines, and it's 3rd down.
Pinball Gordon
Baltimore.
For Toronto on the punt.
Well, they become 2 schools of thought with 27 seconds to go. Do you try for the block, or do you try for the return? And with Pinball Clemens, I kind of go with the return. He had a punt for a touchdown against Baltimore early in the season. And, you know, anytime he catches, he has a chance to do the whole field.
They put a little pressure on the kicker that time. There's Pinball taking it at the 31. Trying to spread it to the outside. And nailed on the 30-yard line. 42-yard kick, no return for pinball, despite all his efforts, and 4 seconds remaining on the clock till a half. Pretty good first half of play. 17-7, the Argos have the lead.
Well, I think for the Toronto Argonauts coming into this game tonight, you know, they wanted to try and play error-free football, and for all intents and purposes, they've done that. A little lucky here. I think pinball got a real Argo bounce.
It was the pinball bounce, yeah.
Yeah. But for all intents and purposes, an error-free half, and when they have struggled their last 2 games, giving up a horrendous amount of points, I think they should be very pleased with their performance.
Then again, looking back to last week in British Columbia, didn't the Argos, or against British Columbia, didn't the Argos have a fairly substantial halftime lead? So they'll be thinking about that in the dressing room.
Yeah, this has been a good solid half, though, limiting Baltimore to only 7 points. I think defensively they've done everything they wanted to. They haven't given up the big play. One Chris Armstrong touchdown pass. That was the only big play that occurred. And for Dennis Meyer and his defense, a good solid first half.
And at the end of the first half, Toronto 17.
And a fun first half of football at Baltimore's Memorial Stadium as the Argos head to the dressing room with the lead, and Don Matthews heads back to regroup with his Baltimore team. It's a 10-point game, 17-7, Toronto leading Baltimore. This is CFL Live.
Welcome back to Baltimore and the CFL Live halftime report. The Argos in Baltimore are the showcase for the first half, but now at halftime, a very special evening here in Baltimore. This stadium has been home to some great athletes over the years, of course, for the old NFL Colts and the Baltimore Orioles. And throughout this season, Baltimore will honor players from both clubs. And right now, they're honoring them, 3 of them right now. Art Donovan a moment ago. Now, Lenny Moore, the great running back for the Colts.
On behalf of my family, to keep the tradition alive, my wife, my brothers and sisters, my friends, and all of you, thank you so very much.
Lenny Moore, ladies and gentlemen. Our third inductee is simply the greatest quarterback of all time. In 17 seasons with the Colts, he established 22 team records and 8 NFL records. He was the first quarterback to throw for over 40,000 yards. He led the league in TD passes 4 straight years. His 47-game stretch with at least 1 touchdown pass will last forever. The records keep coming, huh? He was the NFL Most Valuable Player 3 times, All-Pro 6 times, and he played in 10 Pro Bowls, and he quarterbacked the Colts to 3 World Championships, and on July 28, 1979, was inducted into the Hall of Fame. He is the Golden Arm John Unitas. John, congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure for me to be here. After a long absence, football is back in Baltimore. We thank Jim Spiros for that. And we also thank you fans. You're the one who receives the credit for supporting the team, and hopefully will be successful throughout the years. My congratulations to Jim and to all of you. Thanks for your support over the years. Appreciate it.
John, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, the first honorees for Baltimore's new Ring of Honor. John Unitas,
There's
Lenny
still
Moore,
more to come on the CFL Live halftime report. We'll hear from Art Donovan and John Unitas. John and Leaf will have halftime highlights. It's all coming up from Baltimore.
Solid first half of football. The Argos on top, 17-7. Nice to see some old football greats in Baltimore's history honored here at halftime, and nice to see a pretty good half of football with some good drives going both ways. The first touchdown coming after a turnover, Lee.
Yeah, Kevin Whitley made a great interception on the goal line, had a nice return, and then Reggie Slack took over and took it 75 yards in 7 plays, and a truly lovely drive, and it ended off with Mike Clemens taking the pitch. A 2nd and goal for the 6. I think he caught Baltimore off balance, and with a good cutback, he's into the end zone. Argos up 7-zip early.
Now Baltimore came right back and were able to answer that touchdown with a rather impressive drive by Tracy Ham.
Well, Tracy Ham's got so many offensive weapons to work with, and Chris Armstrong has been his favorite in the first 6 games of the year, and he hooks up with him on the drive right after that. His 7th touchdown of the year in front of Kevin Whitley, and early we were knotted at 7.
And one more drive right after that. Back to back to back. The Argos go in front for the 2nd time.
Yeah, it really wasn't impressive. And once again, it was Mike Clemens capping it off with another touchdown run of his own. But the key really when they run the football is Dwayne Ford, number 34, their fullback. He's had solid blocks every time they've run the ball tonight. That was the key for both of Mike Clemens' touchdowns. And we've had a pretty solid first half.
Yeah, I think everyone would enjoy a football game like that this evening. And as far as the Argos are concerned, you look at Bob Obilovich's changes. Something's paid off for him so far.
Well, defensively, they played a solid game. To hold Baltimore to 7 points, I think Dennis Meyer and Joe Moss, the defensive people, should be thrilled with that, and they have to keep it up because you know Baltimore is going to come out really firing in the second half.
The Argos can remember back to last week when they had a lead at halftime and came away losers. But so far, Toronto on top of Baltimore in a very thrilling football game with Don Matthews, and Baltimore ready to roll right back at Memorial Stadium tonight.
The third quarter of the CFL Live on CSN is brought to you in part by Mr. Sub. Fresh thinking is what we are. Welcome back to Baltimore, where a very special ceremony was held at halftime of this football game. And joining me now, I got to say, as a football fan, this is a big thrill. Johnny Unitas, who starred here for so many years, it's got to be great to see football fans back in this stadium.
Well, it's great. I love to see it for the city and for the people. They've been starving for football for the past 10 years. And Mr. Spiros was strong enough to bring a football team in, a Canadian football team in here, and they're doing well, I think, at the gates, and they're playing well on the field.
You threw for a lot of yards in the National Football League. You've had a chance to see the CFL now. How do you like the passing game here?
Well, it's a lot easier. So I think it's fine. The fields are wider. It's more conducive to that type of football.
Do you think as a quarterback it gives you more options than 4 down on the narrow field would?
Well, you have 3 downs here. Of course, you have to produce on the first 2 downs, but your passing game is a lot simpler because most of the time you're throwing against single coverages, and you have more field width of the field to be able to run a lot different type of patterns than you would be with our operation.
Johnny, thanks for talking to us. Welcome home.
My pleasure. Thank you.
You wonder what Johnny Unitas might have been throwing footballs in the Canadian Football League on a field this big. He said it would be a little easier.
Well, I think he's right. There's bigger lanes to throw in, obviously, but I think a man of Johnny Unitas' stature would have had success anywhere,
Absolutely.
any league, at any time. There's the owner, Jim Spiros.
And he's a happy guy tonight with a great crowd, his best ever.
Yeah, the only thing he's not happy with is his club's down 17-7.
Yeah, but it's a long way from over.
I think you're right.
Numbers from the first half show passing 144 for Baltimore compared to 130 for the Argos. Time of possession is rather close. The turnovers are actually the key figure on the page right there.
Yeah, we told you at halftime on our highlight package that one of the turnovers led to 7 Toronto Argonaut points. The other turnover was on a 3rd down gamble where Calvin Tiggle, their middle linebacker, came up and made a whale of a play. And solid first half for Toronto, but you know Baltimore will be coming out hot here in the 3rd quarter.
Ready to get the second half underway. In fact, it is on a return by Sheldon Canley, number 20, out across the 35. And the ball popped loose. The Argos suggest that they might have recovered it. And it's hard to decipher right now exactly who's got the ball. McCurdy is at the bottom of the pile for Toronto. And there's the indication. Toronto has a 3rd turnover of the game and the first of the half. very early.
Yeah, really tough to see. It's Calvin Tiggle who makes the hit. He pops the helmet straight through to onto the football, and
Now from the 39-yard line.
Baltimore had it initially, but I think it's
stolen away there. Stolen away by the Argos.
Tough to see, but Calvin Tiggle made the hit. Second large defensive play he's made tonight.
First and 10 Argos. At the 39, Slack swings it out. And cutting across the middle, Masadi, number 88. Here's how the quarterback stacked up in the first half. 130 yards passing for Reggie Slack compared to 144 for Tracy Ham. 1 touchdown, 1 interception going the other way. Slack's touchdowns were both by Pinball Clemens.
You look at 13 out of 16 for Ham. I know at least one was dropped by Joe Washington. His number's phenomenal in the percentage department.
This is 2nd and 4. Slack over the middle, and he's picked off for the first time. Grabbed by Charles Anthony, number 9. Gordon was the intended receiver. Anthony comes up with the interception, so the turnovers quickly even out in the second half.
And I think it really shows the inactivity of Reggie Slack. I mean, that is a ball that is thrown far too soft. I mean, you have to really drill that. Bobby Gordon had position on Anthony, but Reggie Slack kind of just lobbed that ball in there, inviting Charles Anthony to come over the top, and Anthony makes the solid play.
First down Baltimore. Tracy Ham over the middle. Nice defensive play by Kevin Whitley, who's made a couple already tonight. Chris Armstrong was the intended receiver.
Yeah, so when you make an interception, you get to sit beside the fan and cool off. If you don't do something very good, you have to sit down at the other end.
Notice the fans here on the Baltimore side are a little bigger than the ones on the Toronto side.
Yeah, well, that's the home field advantage. That's the way it should be.
Advantage. 2nd and 10, Baltimore. Ham standing in, got some good pressure, short of the first down, but the pass is complete on the far side. Coverage by Crespina.
Sean Beals.
On the receiving end, he's about a yard shy.
Well, Don Matthews has seen his offense stopped once already, and it was about a 3rd and 2, and I think this is a very good decision. That is a long yard, and he will take no chances with a 10-point deficit here.
Particularly in this area of the field.
I think if it had been about 10 yards further around midfield, he might have given it a shot.
This is just shy of the 40-yard line of Baltimore.
It looks like our offensive unit now decides to remain on the field.
Now they've reversed that decision, and I guess that's the head coach's prerogative. And now looking across the field, Leaf, when you see where they've actually spotted the distance needed, it is a short yard rather than a long yard. Still a gamble. Tracy Ham submarines underneath. The gamble pays off, and the drive continues for Baltimore. I think Baltimore reversed the decision when they saw the actual distance necessary for the first down.
Well, that's usually a spotter's decision. Probably Joe Barnes up in the box said, hey, radio down quickly to the coach. That's a good one to go for. And first 2 steps of Tracy Ham so key. Got underneath the rush.
Ham first down and going long far side. An incredible catch. Wilson made the catch in behind the cover, and that was something to see.
Well, it was a spectacular throw by Tracy Ham, because you really can't fault Tommy Henry here. He's right on the inside hip the whole way, has perfect position, and this is just a perfectly thrown ball, and Walter Wilson with the extension just at the end. That's a tremendous catch. You know, he could have got up and run a little more, but nobody really had touched him.
He thought about it momentarily, but then it was whistled down.
But he timed it perfectly. He just accelerated the last couple of yards to get away from Henry.
36-yard gain sets Baltimore up at the 33. Ham went over the top. A penalty marker comes down as Ham looked for Sean Beals, number 85. Third quarter is just nicely underway. The Argos with a 10-point lead. Baltimore threatening to cut the deficit.
The call is pass interference.
Interference is called, and it'll be a first down, Baltimore.
Well, I think the Baltimore chat at halftime was probably, hey, we don't have to change anything. We're doing some good things on offense. We just can't have a drop here or there or an overthrown ball. And so far on their opening drive of the third quarter, they have really been hitting. What a catch by Wilson.
First down, Baltimore. Inside the 25. Over the middle. Ham had his man open. Chris Armstrong was in behind the cover, and Ham just missed the target.
Well, D. Thomas, you'll see at the top of the screen, he's got the coverage on Chris Armstrong, and Armstrong's open. And again, it's the same pattern he scored the touchdown on. When the middle safety vacates that area, that dictates that you go for the home run in there. And Tracy Ham was just off target by the slightest of margins.
2nd and 10 from the Toronto 23. Here comes the heat on Tracy Ham. He's to the outside and can't get it away.
You know what? I don't.
Shaken up.
Seemed like he just went down without a lot of pressure right there, and it's hard to tell what exactly happened to him. But I really didn't see anybody make contact with him way over there.
Just might have twisted his knee here late.
Yeah, you're going to get a good look at it here. There it is. The right knee gave out. I didn't think anybody touched him.
So Tracy Ham being attended to, and obviously Don Matthews very concerned about his star quarterback, who had been clicking along at 57.5% with a record of 4 wins and 2 losses. We'll check on Tracy's condition and continue with CFL Live from Baltimore. The score is Toronto 17, Baltimore 7.
What is it on?
Welcome back to Baltimore's Memorial Stadium, where Baltimore quarterback Tracy Ham is still being attended to on the far sidelines. All of a sudden, something just seemed to pop in Tracy Ham's right leg.
And John, that's usually the scary part. You know, if you're hit, that's one thing, but when you're running and all of a sudden something pops, that is usually not a good sign. We will remind you that John Congemi, former Toronto Argonaut and Ottawa Rough Rider, is the backup quarterback here in Baltimore.
Maybe we can have a different angle view of this, or at least another look at what happened to Tracy Ham.
Well, I don't think it's really going to tell you what happened. It's a good look at seeing him go down, but it's very difficult to ascertain as to what caused this. The field's a little soft, but
he wasn't really turning at that point, was he?
Well, you know, John, I've seen it happen before. It doesn't take a lot for a knee injury, and we talked about it last night in our telecast in Calgary. Dave Marler went back, a quarterback of mine in Hamilton, and he just set up the pass, and boom, the knee was shot, and surgery was a day later.
Tracy Ham is being helped to his feet now.
Traditionally, he's always had hamstring problems, but this obviously is not that at all.
So John Congemi will come in relief of Tracy Ham at some point, but not at this particular juncture, except to hold for a field goal try. It is 3rd down and 11, Baltimore. Donald Iguabike is ready to try the field goal when Tracy Ham can be helped to the sidelines. Now they're sending a couple of big guys over there to maybe carry Tracy right off the field. He's in a great deal of pain, as you can see from there. Ham had really been sailing along as far as passing efficiency was with quarterbacks in Canadian Football League. He was #1 in that area. CFL MVP in 1989. Gord?
Yeah, John, the initial indication from the sideline of the Baltimore club is that it's a quadricep injury to Tracy Ham, and it's strange how many we've seen this year. Michael Richardson tore his, Mike Oliphant tore his. It seems they come in bunches, but the initial diagnosis is a torn quadricep, which can be very serious. We'll check for more details. Check them out here on the bench.
Here's the field goal try by Iggy. And he's good. And obviously the owner on the sideline, Jim Spiros, is rather concerned about the situation at quarterback. Things were going so well for Baltimore with a rejuvenated Tracy Ham in charge. If it is a quadricep injury, he won't be available for a little bit of time. Michael Richardson has been out at least 5 weeks, Lee.
Yeah, the quadriceps such a long muscle. It's in the middle. It's usually the toughest part. Top or bottom, it heals a little quicker. But I mean, you're talking a month if it's a bad one at least.
7-point ball game now. Baltimore trailing Toronto 17-10. Lively spot to watch a football game. Unfortunately, Tracy Ham is in a situation where he'll be listening from the dressing room and being attended to by physicians in there. Here's John Congemi warming up.
He's only thrown 7 balls this year, 3 of 7 in his brief appearance, and
threw a couple of interceptions in that number.
That's not too good a ratio. No touchdown passes yet. Not the way you want to come in the ball game, and for Tracy Ham, very unfortunate having such a tremendous season.
Ready at last for the Baltimore kickoff. Robert Gordon starting across the 25. Almost to the 45, 19-yard return.
Brought down by Alvin Walton.
Walton leading the tacklers for Baltimore.
Well, you could hear the pop on that hit on the kickoff return all the way up in the booth here. Bobby Gordon accelerates up into the hole, and he is met by Alvin Walton, number 4, and number 39, Matt Goodwin. Whoa.
So the Argos with a 1-touchdown lead begin at the 45 and begin again with Mike Clemens. Good run for Clemens. He has 15 more yards. Sensational night for number 31.
And what the Argonauts are doing so well is to seal off at the tackle to allow Clemens to get to the outside. And once you get that good seal on the corner, and that's Francois Belanger, the left tackle, along with 34 Brian Ward, and well, that's the reason why Clemens has had so much success to get outside tonight.
7 carries, 78 yards for Michael Clemens, and a couple of touchdowns. 10:25 to go, third quarter. Toronto 1st and 10 at the 50. Clemens gets the call and drags one defender for a couple of yards. Tracy Gravely.
Tracy Gravely is a former BC Lion and Ottawa Rough Rider. Was a defensive back converted to the linebacker spot. 6'3", 215 pounds. The kind of player that so many teams are using. The Toronto Argonauts have Charlie Farms, a defensive back, playing linebacker. Terry Wright and Hamilton, and there's many more. But that's a good spot for Gravely. He's big enough to play that position.
2nd and 8. Slack from the shotgun, sees a hole himself, and when it opened up, he took off and slides to the 20-yard line. Big first down for the Argos. Reggie Slack
on the carry.
26 yards. And the Argos are nicely established.
And a great
22.
Great decision by Reggie Slack when all his receivers, it's the same thing as earlier in the game for Tracy Ham. There becomes a huge area right here, and when you're back at quarterback and you can't thread the ball in and take a chance, it opens up so large. Look at the lane that's created. Now Slack, and one of the reasons why he is playing tonight, he is the better runner of the 2 quarterbacks, and that was a super run.
Slack looks to the end zone and came up a little short on a pass intended for Jeff Fairholm.
Slack has had great difficulty throwing to the corners tonight. He had Bobby Gordon open late in the 2nd quarter, and now Jeff Fairholm had run a super corner pattern on Charles Anthony, was wide open, and for some reason Reggie Slack is having great difficulty completing those passes, and it's got nothing to do with arm strength. He's got tremendous arm strength. I think it's just the inactivity, and he's really unsure of exactly where his receivers are going to end up.
2nd and 10 now, Toronto. 8:45 to go, third quarter. Argos leading by a touchdown. This is Grage. A little slant in pattern that went nowhere. Maybe a gain of 1 yard.
Brought down by
Ken Watson, number 33, made the tackle.
So the Toronto Argonauts try and answer the field goal of Donald Igwebike. Wayne Lamley comes in 1 for 1 on the night, and boy, does this young fellow need a confidence booster. He needs a solid night. He has really struggled, and the pressure has been on him, as most kickers will tell you, young in their career, the mental aspect of being a kicker is the most difficult thing. There's no question as to the strength of his leg. It's how he can get his head into the game.
Good on 12 of 21 so far this season. And 13 of 22 as a result of that one to restore a 10-point advantage for Bobo Bilovich and the Toronto Argonauts. Well, a big night for celebrities in Baltimore as the city saluted some of its all-time football greats, and we're watching a pretty good game here tonight with Toronto leading Baltimore 20-10. John Congemi has taken over the controls for Baltimore. Good on 3 of 7, 25 yards so far this season. In trouble on his first play, but got it away. Sneaking out of the backfield.
John Congemi's first pass complete to Peter Tuipolatu.
Tuipolatu, number 32, is into the ball game for the first time, at least with his hands on the football, for an 8-yard gain.
Yeah, between the running backs coming in tonight, 41 catches, Tuipolatu and Mike Pringle, and that's a good decision for John Congemi. His Achilles heel has always been his touchdown to interception ratio, 42 interceptions lifetime, only 28 touchdowns, so for him to dump it off to the backs is a very wise move.
Gain of 8, this is 2nd and 2 Baltimore. Tough running inside, but it could be a first down. Pringle somehow squeezed through, and he'll have the first down for Baltimore. It looked like he was stopped for a split second there, but he got through.
You know, for John Congemi to swing it off to either the fullback, Tuipolatu, or Mike Pringle, the tailback, is such a good play because, and we mentioned already, Toronto has played a lot of zone defense tonight, and well, when you go against the zone, you like to work underneath it, and with your backs, it becomes so much more effective, and for Congemi, they're easy balls to complete.
First down, Baltimore. From the 47, and the play is whistled down quickly. The storyline in this game is brought to you by Dodge Trucks, reinventing the truck. And there it is right there, Leif. Couple for Clemens, 63 yards rushing. And adding to the story is the injury to Tracy Ham.
Quadricep pull on a running play where nobody touched him. If you're just joining with us. Mike Clemens, 2 rushing touchdowns. The Toronto Argonauts had only 2 rushing touchdowns as a team coming into tonight's game, so he's equaled that by himself in a half of football.
Penalty was against Baltimore. Offside, it is 1st and 15. Baltimore back to the 42 now. Congemi out of the shotgun. Pulls it down a second time, and that was one too many as the Argos surround John Congemi. Rodney Harding is there.
Brought down by Rodney Harding.
7th sack of the year for Rodney Harding. Gord?
Thanks, John. Just to update the condition of Tracy Ham, any muscle pull involves tearing of the muscle. What they're checking right now in the dressing room is how severe the tearing is. Danny Barrett, now quarterbacking for Ottawa, tore his quadricep muscle in the 1991 Grey Cup game. It was 2 months before he could walk normally again. That's the downside. On the upside, if it's merely a pull, it could be a week, even 2.
Loss of 7. This is 2nd and a bunch. 2nd and 22 to round it off. Congemi throwing on the run, and he's outside. Nice catch, sidelines, by number 55, Malcolm Goodwin. Unfortunately, he's a backup offensive or a backup defensive player and standing on the bench.
I think John Congemi was just trying to get this ball out of bounds, and had Armstrong been able to make a spectacular catch, great. But when you're backed up like he was, his Achilles heel being the interceptions, he didn't want to take a chance there.
So Josh Miller is in for the 5th time to punt. Miller standing at his 20. And Mike Clemens deep for the Argos. kick. Clemens waits for it at the 30. Found a little room and returns it 9 yards after a 49-yard punt. Clemens a solid night, returning and running for the Argos. Toronto in the lead by 10. It's 20-10 with 5:15 to play in the third quarter. There's the score in Baltimore. The Argos with a very solid first half had the lead at halftime. We've traded field goals in the second half, and it's back to a 10-point game, 20-10. Bob Obilovich facing some pressure and really needing a victory tonight, more so than Baltimore's Don Matthews, but we're a long way from over.
Well, I don't think there's any question of that. Two horrendous losses where the defense just was hammered by the opposition, and well, they have rebounded nicely here after 2.5 quarters of play, only giving up 10 Baltimore points.
First and 10 into the near side is flank Tommy Kane. Good fake by Slack, and he looks over this way, has his target. Robert Gordon, number 84, comes up short of the first down. Let's bring in Gord Miller.
A moment ago, the Baltimore team doctor came up and spoke to Don Matthews, whose shoulders sagged visibly when he was told that Tracy Ham has suffered a serious tear of the right quadricep muscle, the thigh muscle. If it is a serious tear, they'll know better tomorrow, but it looks as if Tracy Ham right now will be out at least the next 3 to 4 weeks.
That's tough news for Tracy Ham and obviously for Baltimore. This is 2nd and 2, and penalty markers are down. The Slack handed off. Bottom of that pile is Kevin Smelly, number 33.
Kevin Smelly.
Well, John, interesting to note, I think, that the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who are now 5-2 in the East and in first place, lost their starting quarterback, Matt Dunnigan, this week.
Baltimore number 55.
And now, of course, the Baltimore Colts are 4-2, trying to keep pace with Winnipeg, lose their starting quarterback for a significant period of time.
The injury to Tracy Ham looked a little innocent, and when we looked at Matt Dunnigan's injury the other night, it actually occurred a play before he went down.
Yeah.
First and 10. Here's Slack trying to get away. Walks the sidelines and grabs about 4 yards.
Well, John, we talked before the game that the difference might be the 13th man, that 45,000 crowd here at Memorial Stadium. But quite honestly, with the injury to Tracy Ham here in the third quarter, the place has become very, very quiet. And the 13th man is no longer a help for the Baltimore CFLers.
Called that a gain of 3. This will be 2nd and 7, Toronto. Right at midfield. Some heat on Reggie Slack. Tight coverage on his intended receiver. Anthony was covering on Paul Masadi. And Masadi is saying, he held me.
Covered by Carl Anthony.
Paul Masadi doesn't do a lot of complaining, so chances are Carl Anthony probably got a hand on him. But Carl Anthony, I think, showed you why he was an All-Canadian a year ago with the Calgary Stampeders, as he was step for step with Paul Masadi. Gets through with the left hand and knock it away, and boy, he was almost there before the ball got to Masadi. Tremendous anticipation by an All-Canadian corner.
Just barely got the kick away. Lester Smith had no play, and Baltimore will start inside the 20.
John, I'll tell you, it's the little things that win games for you. And Wayne Lamley sacrificed average there to speed up his punt in time to get it away from Malcolm Goodwin, who was rushing up the middle. And, you know, he said, heck, I got to speed up just a little bit, make sure I get this off. Had he taken his normal rhythm, I'm sure that punt would have blocked. So it's all the little things that certain players do throughout a game that end up maybe contributing to a win.
Finally 2 for 2 in field goals tonight as well for Toronto. John Congemi gets his second crack at the Baltimore offense. Shotgun. Congemi hit as he threw. I think he was looking for Mike Pringle on the near side. The Argos are coming with big pressure on John Congemi.
And they're only doing it with a 4-man rush, and I think that is truly one of the differences in this defense this year. Yes, they have struggled in their pass coverage, but up front, their front four is much improved from a year ago, and to be able to drop 8 and only rush 4 and still get pressure is a huge bonus.
2nd and 10. Baltimore backed up to the 19. Jimmy looks to sprint right. Throwing on the run, far side. He's on target and close to a first down. Armstrong made the catch, number 81. Let's see where they spot the ball. An 8-yard gain. So he'll be a couple short.
Yeah, Toronto once again zone coverage, 2nd and long, pretty tight coverage. You want to keep all the receivers in front of you, and that's a solid pattern by Armstrong to get open. The only trouble is he only went about 7 yards and not enough for the first down. But once Kajemi breaks the containment, the receivers have to work back, and you lose your first down distance rather.
So 3rd down and another punting situation for Josh Miller.
Well, you have to be impressed with Toronto secondaries. They have just said to themselves, hey, nobody is getting in behind us. Any ball caught is going to be in front, and it's worked to perfection.
High kick by Miller. The pinball at the 40. Chased back to almost the 35. And still, he is almost to the 46. O.J. Brigance leading the Baltimore tacklers to the pinball that time.
And that's the intangible that Mike Clemens gives you. I mean, obviously he's not going to break one every time, but that was a good solid 10-yard return straight up the field. 10 positive yards, you know, that add to your total picture. And once again, Reggie Slack has some pretty decent field position to start this drive. Now, he just has to quit being so tentative when he has chances to go deep and just let it rip. He's got a great arm, but he's got to just let her fly. Not think so much about where he's going to throw it.
Tommy Kane is into the ball game in the Argo offensive scheme. Split to the near side. Pinball gets the call and breaks one up the middle again. It'll be an Argo first down as Pinball gets to the 50. And did he lose it?
Well, Michael Brooks, the middle safety, put a real hit on him.
It'll be a turnover. That's the indication. Andrews comes up with it. Michael Brooks appears to have caused the fumble by Pinball Clemens.
Boy, a terrific trap play. Bercheval leading up through the hole along with Francois Belanger. Nice cut by Clemens, but watch the hit by 17, Michael Brooks. Helmet to helmet right there, the shoulder in, and the ball definitely comes loose before Clemens hits the ground.
He's fighting it all the way, but can't quite hang on until he gets to the ground.
Yep. Second turnover here in the second half for the Argonauts. Interception by Charles Anthony, and now the fumble recovery by Ricky Andrews, the middle linebacker. He's actually cut from the Saskatchewan Roughriders training camp.
They're reversing their decision late, but is going to be an Argonaut football. Better take a closer look at that. It appeared to have gotten away from Pinball. Now, the Baltimore team had already sent its offense onto the field, and now they've changed squads out there.
Well, we'll go back after this play and have a look once again. Well, we're there right now. And they're saying that Clemens was down. I don't think so. I don't blame the fans. They're good football fans here. They know the fumble was a real fumble.
And the next play is whistled down. Clemens has 9 carries for 97 yards and a couple of touchdowns, and might have gotten away with running the previous play.
Might have. Get off the fence. He did.
Might have. Yes, you're right.
Toronto number 88. First down repeated.
First down.
Mazzani got a jump. It'll be 1st and 15.
Toronto's had a solid first half. Now in the third quarter, they're just getting a little sloppy here. A little penalty here or there, mistake, and they got to tighten it up if they want to keep this 10-point lead.
Yeah, it is only 10 points. Here's Reggie Slack, a little quarterback draw, and this will work well as Slack comes up with a first down. He needed 15, and he got about 16 yards for the Argos. No markers anywhere. So the Argo drive will continue.
The key player to watch all the time when Toronto runs the football is Dwayne Ford, 34. Watch as Slack goes back. He's going to follow Ford right back up through the hole on the quarterback draw, but it's 34, Dwayne Ford, that leads the way. Watch now. Here's Ford. Boom. Good block on 54, the linebacker, and that's a positive first down play on 1st and 15 for Reggie Slack.
Well, they've respotted the ball, and after a measurement, It is not quite a first down.
I can't tell you what a contribution that Dwayne Ford has made to this offense. Won the job in training camp over Kevin Smelly, and no, he doesn't get to run with it much. Only 7 catches as well in the season, but the job he does blocking and protecting for the quarterback, I know, is appreciated by the entire team and certainly the coaching staff.
This will be second down, less than a yard to go for the Argos. They have to get across the 40-yard line. Slack himself, and that looked easy.
Well, it is.
Toronto.
He's 6'2", 220. I mean, he's bigger than the fullback.
Following Carl Colder. Turned in a solid effort. Number 10, Reggie Slack.
Yeah, Colder, look, Melendez Bird, 54, the linebacker. He tries to meet it head on, but blocked by Coulter, and Reggie Slack, who's probably the biggest quarterback that I've ever seen.
Into the final 10 seconds of the third quarter now. This should be the last play. Draw to the pinball, Mike Clemens, and it looked like he slipped.
Either slipped or he tripped over his own man.
That's the end of the third quarter, and the Argos hang on to a 10-point lead. It's 20-10. Toronto leading Baltimore. From Memorial Stadium, CFL Live.
Back in Baltimore for the fourth quarter, and Reggie Slack looks like a new man this season. He's had a history of terrible knee problems. In fact, there was a time when they wondered if he'd ever be able to walk normally again. He had major surgery in the offseason, a long recovery, but Reggie Slack says he's never felt better as a pro football quarterback. Last year he wore a knee brace that looked like a Meccano set. This year he's got a much smaller one, much more mobile, and it makes his game a lot better.
He's had his moments in the CFL. I'm not so sure he's played 3 solid quarters like this back in recent memory.
Well, I think you should be impressed with his performance, and the knee is 100%, and that's indicative of the way he's been able to run the ball tonight.
This is 2nd and 12. The snap a little high, but Slack brings it down, looks over the middle. He's on target for Masadi. It'll be a first down, Toronto. Irvin Smith made the tackle, number 21.
And that's the thing I've always loved about Paul Mazzatti, his willingness to go across the middle and become a good target for his quarterback. And once again, a good time to throw for Slack. Good sight lines downfield. But Paul Mazzatti, I mean, he's got a huge heart. And he's fearless when he comes across. Look, he's got Smith there. Straighten him up, straighten him up. Now make your break. And that's where he gains his separation, becomes an easy target for Slack to find. But it's Mazzatti's technique. He works Smith straight up the field, and then the hard break to get that separation. He has really worked hard at his craft to be a good receiver.
That's a 14-yard gain for Mazzatti, and then well after the play, Leaf, objectionable conduct was charged against Baltimore, and the Argo march continues. It'll be a first down for the Argos at the Baltimore 11. Mike Clemens looks to throw. Touchdown. Hard to see in the dark corner of the end zone. Mazzatti made the catch on a toss from Michael Clemens.
And boy, did he work hard on Carl Anthony, an all-Canadian corner, to make that touchdown catch. You could see it developing when Pinball Clemens didn't run really hard after he took the pitch. Boy, that tells you right away it's the halfback pass. And although it wasn't a beauty, they're going to laugh about it because Mazzatti made a heck of a catch.
He's done it all tonight. Let's watch it from this angle.
Yeah, you see, he makes the adjustment back over the top, and is that body control or what? Well, 2 big catches on that drive, and you know, I was going to say this was an opportunity that Toronto hasn't had too many times this year, a chance to really take control of a game, and with that touchdown pass by Pinball Clements, they've been able to do that. Well, that's super body control. Fight back over the top. The timing has to be perfect. It was. Yeah, you should smile, Paul. That was a great play.
And Mike Pinball Clemens will be telling everyone maybe a couple of months from now that he came around the end and then just drilled this right into Mazzatti's arms, and he made a wonderful catch, but it was right there.
He'll get about 10 yards longer every month. He'll say, I just aired it out as far as I could throw it.
So Michael has run for a couple and thrown for one. He's been in on all the Argo touchdowns so far, throwing a couple of field goals. And that's what the Toronto total is right now at 27-10. 6 plays to cover 65 yards. Mazzotti on the 11-yard reception from Mike Pinball Clemens. Here's the Argo kickoff.
Jim Spiros and the Baltimore CFL Club. Thank you all.
Baltimore ready to return. This is Sheldon Canley out across the 35.
Sheldon Canley on the return for kickoff.
And to about the 42-yard line. Here are the numbers so far. 3 turnovers against Baltimore. That has been a costly problem. 205 yards passing for Baltimore. The Argos with 145 plus the rushing yardage, and that makes it 287 to 224.
And of course, for Baltimore now, the task becomes even more difficult. Tracy Ham out. John Conchemi is in. So certainly not solid, not a bad quarterback, but certainly no Tracy Ham.
But he's got 17 points to come back to get even with the Argos. Tracy Ham on the sidelines. Conchemi in. Ham was shaken up third quarter.
John Conchemi's pass complete to Reggie Perry.
Tiggle was on the tackle. Reggie Perry made the catch.
And with a 17-point lead, that's what you can do on defense. You can get those deep drops and force Conchemi to throw underneath, come up and make the good tackle as Calvin Tiggle did. But that will be the defensive strategy from here on in.
Gain was 4. This is 2nd and 6 Baltimore. 13-16 to go, and Conchemi lets this one fly. Great catch. Markers are down. Joe Washington heads to the end zone, but I think it'll be whistled down. No, it's a touchdown. Great toss to Joe Washington from John Conchemi. He fell in collision with the defender. Got up and headed to the end zone.
Yeah, just what I said, what you want to do as a defense is keep everything underneath you. Tommy Henry allows Joe Washington to get in behind, and really the officials are going to have a chat because I really honestly believe he was down. They fight for the ball. Contact is made on the ground.
Well, that's what I thought, Leif. And now there's a discussion down there that might be on why the flag was thrown in the first place.
Well, I don't think there's any question Tommy Henry created some contact, and Ross Perrier will try and sort this out. But I think if they're questioning whether was the receiver touched while he was down, I say yes, he was.
Well, Ross gets to make the announcement. Ross Perrier.
Forward pass interference. Baltimore declined. Touchdown.
There we go. It's all cleared up.
Well, Ross had it wrong. He said Baltimore forward pass interference. He meant Toronto pass interference.
Well, what he had right was when he raised his hands in the air that the touchdown would stand.
Yeah, so Ross a little confused there, the referee. Toronto gets called for the interference. The touchdown will stand. It's a 63-yarder for Conchemi, and really Tommy Henry commits the cardinal sin. You've got a 17-point lead. Don't let anybody get in behind you. And maybe that.
See, I thought he was down there, but maybe no. I mean, he went down in contact with the defender. However, the touchdown will stand. And the convert is good. So Baltimore bounces right back into the game with lots of time to go. 12:56 remaining, fourth quarter. It's back to a 10-point difference. Conchemi on a 63-yard touchdown. Don Matthews, head coach in Baltimore these days. Bob Obilovich still not happy about the call.
Well, he's saying as we did that when he made the catch, yeah, it was a catch, it was interference, all of those things, but he was down. Contact was created, but Obi's shaking his head too because he knows as well as anyone that Tommy Henry should not allow a guy to get in behind like that with a 17-point lead. Nevertheless, 2 plays, 67 yards, and give John Conchemi credit. That's his first touchdown pass of the season, and it was a beauty. I mean, he really aired that out to the perfect spot.
We were doing an Edmonton game, 2 weeks ago, when the new Eskimo receiver, Mike Lee, made a great catch. Fell down under his own steam.
Back in the house.
And that play was whistled down when he should have been allowed to score the touchdown. He went down by himself and was not hit by another ball player. However, the touchdown is up on the board. It's a 10-point game, and that'll create a finish.
Yeah, and with momentum here, you know, you could get the crowd back into this game in a hurry. Baltimore only 10 points behind. Now the pressure once again is back in the court of Reggie Slack. Can he move his team down, kill some time off this clock?
Attendance here has been absolutely great. Leave up to 41,155 for this game tonight. The season average leading the Canadian Football League at 35-3.
Onside.
Jump ball on the far side, and who has it? Of course, everyone in a dark blue shirt over there is indicating it's Baltimore ball.
They always do that.
Yeah, that's the problem. All the arms are waving and flailing.
Players are working the officials there.
Yeah, it's nobody's ball. Procedure call, and they'll have to kick it over again.
Illegal kickoff, Baltimore, number 00, declined.
So what that means is nobody touched it, as John said, when it went out of bounds, so it just becomes Toronto's ball.
At the 51-yard line, first and
Might have
just
to
like a deep kickoff that trickles out at the 10-yard line if it doesn't go off a player.
Might have to question that one with that amount of time remaining to now all of a sudden when it doesn't work give Toronto the instant field position like they have. Nevertheless, Don Matthews has always been a gambler.
The newcomer Tommy Kane still looking for his first CFL pass. He's to the near side. The call goes to Mike Clemens again. What a great night he's had. Clemens is short of the first down, but he has 7 yards at least. Alvin Walton made the tackle.
Toronto's doing a good job pulling their linemen too. Big Mike Jovanovic, 68, leads it around the corner for Mike Clemens. You know, he's so tough. He gets in behind those big linemen, and for the defensive people, he's really hard to locate as he comes through. Watch, he's right on the hip there of Jovanovic, 68, and then all of a sudden a little spin, and he's so tough to tackle. Remember Mac Heron? He's kind of like him. Mac would sit in behind that big offensive line, and nobody could ever find him until he was past you.
That's a few years ago, going back to the Winnipeg days with Mac Heron, Mini Mac.
Well, Mac was about 5'5", very similar, maybe a little bigger than Pinball Clemens.
Bigger, you think?
Less than 5'5"?
I thought he was smaller, but
well, the key is they used to
they were right, and they'd look each other in the eye, no doubt about it.
Here's a new formation.
On second down, less than a yard to go as the Argos grab the first down.
Slack on the keeper.
Slack himself. 12:03 to go. Toronto with a 10-point lead on Baltimore.
I'd like to welcome
27-17.
football team tonight. We wish you luck in the 1994 season, guys.
It's be a big win for Bob Obilovich. Argos are 2-4 on the season, and a win would get them back in the hunt.
I think you mentioned are he and not Don Matthews tied at 100 wins each?
Yeah, this is the race for the first to 101. Like Clemens again, if it works, don't change it. And Clemens has been outstanding tonight. Somehow he got away again. Another 4 yards. How did he turn the corner on Tracy Gravely?
Pick up a 4, second down and 6.
Gained just about 4 yards.
Well, he's got such quick feet. Watch how he initially froze Alvin Walton. Now on Ricky Andrews, number 91, the middle linebacker. I don't know how in the world he got away from him, but looked like an awful play at the beginning. Turns into a positive 4-yard gain, and of course that's what Mike Pinball Clemens can do to you time and time again.
Rushing yards favored the Argos right at this moment, 157-31. Clemens has most. That one got away from Reggie Slack. Yeah, now looking for Tommy Kane.
Now most of the plays are called from the Toronto bench, and that one's hard to figure. A hitch to the wide side of the field. I mean, that is like a 40-yard pass to try and get your 6 yards, and it's an awfully difficult ball to complete.
44-yard field goal try coming up.
On for the field goal for Toronto.
Wayne Lamley good on 2 of 2 so far tonight. And maybe things are turning around for the Argos. Lamley 3 of 3, including a 44-yarder there to add to the Toronto total. 31-30-17 now.
Well, that'll go a long way to restoring the confidence in a young kicker.
30-17. Bob Obilovich has the lead on Don Matthews. CFL Live from Baltimore.
Back to the CFL Live from Baltimore, where Mike Clemens is having some kind of night, bringing back memories of the days when he played for Don Matthews. The Baltimore coach said yesterday he considers Clemens to be perhaps the most dangerous all-around player in the CFL.
It's really special coming from him because it was he who brought out many of those attributes. He gave me a chance in 1990 to be used in all different facets of the game. He gave me a chance to return kicks, punts, catch the ball out of the backfield as well as run the ball. He was the one that really put the faith in and said, I think this guy can go 18 games at running back and go out of the backfield and catch, you know, and run the ball out of the backfield as well as catch passes and then do the punts and kicks. And it gave me a chance to sort of establish that sort of all-purpose type reputation.
John Kajemi just missed Chris Armstrong in a sideline pattern. Always interesting to listen to the pinball Mike Clemens.
Well, you know, Don Matthews has always been a great assessor of talent and what players can and cannot do, and he knew that Mike Clemens was a special kind of player, and nice to hear that Mike Clemens recognizes the opportunity that Matthews gave him.
9:51 to play in the final quarter. 2nd and 10 as a marker comes down on Kajemi's toss far side. It is good to Walter Wilson. The gain is 15 yards, and we'll check out the infraction.
The call is offside against Toronto.
Offside, Toronto number 77, declined, first down.
So Baltimore gets the first down. 30-17 is the score. Kajemi behind the intended receiver, Walter Wilson, number 84. 2nd and 10 now.
For the most part, Walter Wilson's run some pretty nice patterns tonight to find the open areas. He's expecting zone. He knows what to do. That time, you'll watch, he just drifts it a little too far inside. When Tommy Henry turns his back like that, Wilson knows right away it's zone. Now you adjust your pattern, and he just used too much speed. You got to slow down and sit in that open area and become a good target for your quarterback. He made a mistake there. Well, those defensive backs will tell you what the coverage is in a hurry, and you have to recognize it real fast.
Now 2nd and 10 at the 50-yard line. Kajemi looking long, man open. He's got the first down. Chris Armstrong, another big catch for Baltimore. He's almost to the 30. Thomas over to help make the tackle. 28 yards the gain.
Chris Armstrong, watch, you know, as soon as he clears Crespina, now he's thinking zone 2. Okay, I just slow down. See how he slows down and just sits in that open area? Boy, that's a great job. See, once he gets right in here, all he wants to do is sit in that open spot. And, boy, these receivers, they know the difference between man and zone, and they adjust their patterns accordingly. That's a good job. Good completion by Kajemi.
4th reception for Armstrong for 76 yards and a touchdown, and here he goes again. That's 2. 32-yard touchdown from John Kajemi to Chris Armstrong, and they've connected on 2. .8:18 to play.
Oh, and I'll tell you why Chris Armstrong has become such a dangerous receiver this year is that he understands coverages. Now, he's saying, okay, this is man. He's going with me. I got to beat to the inside. It's no longer a zone. I got to go full speed against man-to-man. He does it. That's his 2nd touchdown on pretty much the same pattern again.
And all of a sudden, it's a 6-point ball game. Toronto in front. 30-24.
Yeah, so many times it's recognition between quarterback and receiver. What are you both seeing downfield? Well, Kajemi saw 2 zone coverages. He hit the open spot. Now the blitz is coming. There comes Donnie Moan. Hey, they read man-to-man. Boom, you go hard to the post. There's nobody in the middle for help. The 2nd time the Toronto Argonauts secondary has been bitten by that post pattern by Chris Armstrong, and give him credit. He's run them perfectly, and his quarterbacks have thrown him strikes.
Now the Argos have to worry just a little bit. The lead has been cut to 6 points.
Well, you see those 2 touchdowns. That's 8 on the season for Chris Armstrong. Is he off to a phenomenal start?
Hey, what's happening? Adam, still got it, baby. Oh, dog DB. Matt, hope you're all right.
Yeah, hear that?
Hey, nice.
To Matt Donegan. Hope you're all right. 5 years he spent with the Toronto Argonauts, 1 with Ottawa, was out of football for a while, played a little bit in the Arena League with John Contempi, and then Don Matthews brought him here to Baltimore as insurance for Tracy Ham, and he's shown his worth.
Yeah, he needed the insurance on this very night. And Jemmy has come in and tossed 2 touchdown passes to keep Baltimore in the ball game and give Baltimore an opportunity to win this.
Yeah, that's what. He's going blue.
Gordon and Clemens back deep for Toronto, kicking off.
Brittany, that's 2 for you. Hey, man, that's for you in Boston, Massachusetts. See you later, Stan.
Argo's ready to return. Nicely done by Gordon out near the 40. Robert Jordan. Sheldon Canley, number 20, made the tackle. 4 plays to cover 75 yards. The hookup between Contempi and Armstrong.
Yeah, what's so impressive is how quarterback and receivers are on the same page, reading coverages together and making the necessary adjustments to their pattern. It's fun to watch.
And this place is alive all of a sudden with just 6 points separating these 2 teams. Slack from the shotgun. Running for his life and fired that one into the ground. Far side of the field. Baltimore has the heat on the Argos now. Great football town.
Yeah, you really feel the old momentum of this game starting to shift now. Ricky Andrews, 91. He's coming on what they call the spy. He's just spying the quarterback as he rolls out, and he gets the pressure there, and the ball is nowhere to be completed. Yeah, the 13th man's coming into this. They're back.
The difference. Back in Baltimore. Second and 10, and it opens up for Reggie Slack. He'll have the first down. Needs a block. Slack is still going. Markers are down, however, and so is Slack inside the 35. The marker came down after Slack had the first down, so I think if it is a blocking infraction, the first down will be there.
That's good call, John. They're going to get the first down. Paul Mazzotti was called for some sort of blocking infraction, but I do believe you're right. It will be a first down.
Yeah, you can read Ross Perrier's lips down there. Holding after the first down. I can only imagine what this place might have been like when they jammed 77,000 in here in the old days with Baltimore in the NFL. Ten years ago, Robert Irsay snuck in town and took the Colts to Indianapolis.
Well, Reggie Slack has been very effective when he's made these decisions tonight to run with the football. The hold by Mazzotti right there. He kind of grabbed Smith's ankle, dragged him down, but nevertheless, the first down stands.
Big first down for Toronto with 7:02 to go. It's a 6-point ball game. The Argos leading Baltimore 30-24. Clemens, and he just submarined himself underneath about 6 Baltimore players. I don't know where he stopped under there, Leaf, or they'll spot it down, but he was stopped initially after about a 4-yard gain.
It looked like one of those rugby scrubs where they just kind of moved the pile.
Well, I think the guys are looking down and saying, you got him. No, I got him. No, who's got him?
Well, that's the thing. When you're his size, you just kind of sneak in there. Watch this. He follows Verschavel around the corner.
Well, he turned it into almost an 8-yard gain. 118 on the night rushing for Michael Clemens.
Yeah, now they're pushing the pile. There it goes. Burgo, 69. He's pushing the pile. Look at him. He's got Clemens wrapped up. He's got the tackle, and he's pushing him.
Second down. About 1.5 yards to go. The call goes to Smelly, and there's a penalty marker down. Holding is the indication against Toronto. We've got a finish in Baltimore.
Holding Toronto number 68.
Michael Jovanovich.
Yeah, the right guard, and you're going to get a great look at it here. Here he is right here on Gerald Bayless, and you watch it home, and this is a tough penalty because that would have been an easy first down to pick up, but he's got the wrap, the hook right there, and the official sees it. Once you wrap your arms around in the open like that, you're going to get called every time, and well, you look at turning points in a game.
Now that might just be that play right there. Little holding. Now it's all of a sudden 2nd and 12, Toronto. Slack will get the heat. Can he get away this time? It opens up. He'll have another first down. 2 big runs by Reggie Slack to give the Argos critical first downs. No markers anywhere this time. And Reggie, the runner, has been a big part of the Argos' success in the 4th quarter. This is 16 yards.
And what's happening is the linebackers are getting so deep back here. Watch this. They bail out here, and for Reggie Slack, there's so much open field. I mean, it's really not a tough decision to make. They're running with the receivers. Hey, that's the decision to make, and he's made it about 3 or 4 times. Those are solid runs.
10 carries for 80 yards for Slack. The pinball has had more. This time there's nowhere to go as pinball can't quite get around the corner. Ernest Fields, number 50, was there waiting for number 31.
No gain on the play. 2nd down and 10.
Well, if nothing else, what the Toronto Argonauts are doing is just knocking some valuable time off this clock on this drive. Be able to convert from that 2nd and 12. You look at 2nd down conversions, I don't think they've had a more crucial one than they had 2 plays ago.
4:32 remaining. The Argos lead by 6 at 30-24. And Mike Clemens is shaken up. We'll check out the injury situation to the pinball when we return. Mike Pinball Clemens is still being attended to by the Argo medical staff, and it's pretty difficult from our vantage point to figure out what the problem might be. Seemed like an innocent enough play, but then they often do.
It takes the helmet and the shoulder right there from Gerald Bayless.
He had a shoulder problem a couple of weeks ago and was forced to miss a game.
Yeah, and then he went down on his right shoulder, got hit in the left with the helmet, goes down on the right, and you're right, he missed a game against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers earlier this year with a slight separation.
Tracy Ham is on crutches and on the sidelines at the Baltimore bench. So little or no gain. It'll be 2nd and 10 Toronto. Clemens off under his own steam, but he was walking gingerly. Reggie Slack will feel some heat. Got it away. Oh, and it's picked off. Intended that for Eric Drage. And Irvin Smith comes up with the interception. So Baltimore's Memorial Stadium is alive. Smith was on the Saskatchewan practice roster in 1992.
Probably the worst throw Reggie Slack's made all night. If you're going to throw the wide side out, you better let it go a lot earlier than that. Irvin Smith was sitting on it. Eric Drage had no way he could break it up, and at a critical point in the game, Reggie Slack makes a big mistake. That ball is wobbling. It has no speed on it. Irvin Smith makes a heck of an interception, but it's the wrong pass to throw.
Here's John Conjemi. Oh! Intended that for Joe Washington. Should have been a catch. Not the quarterback's fault that time.
Goodness gracious, no. He couldn't have thrown it any better than that, but I think Keita Crispina got just enough interference in there with his hand that it distracted Joe Washington. We saw Bob Abilovich on the sidelines having a talk with Reggie Slack. I mean, the wide side out in a crucial situation is probably one of the most difficult balls to complete.
Conjemi get on 5 of 10 since relieving Tracy Ham for 122 yards and 2 touchdowns, both to Armstrong. Now he faces 2nd and 10. Here comes the Argo charge. Conjemi couldn't get it away. It's picked off by Don Moan, number 36. Don Moan gets the interception going the other way. Conjemi couldn't get it through to Washington, and interceptions either way with 3:21 to go. It's a 6-point ball game.
And the first interception of the season for Don Moen. Here he is, and as the receiver comes up, he's going to run with him, then stop and work back inside for the in route. And this is an unbelievable play by a veteran linebacker. There he goes. Now he leaves his man. He sees the guy coming in, gets a little bump on Wilson from outside, and makes a heck of a play, and that might be the play that wins him the ball game.
Moen missed last week. He's back this week, and the pinball is back in the game after being helped off the field. About 4 yards on that run. 3:01 to play. Argos lead it by 6. Gord.
All right, thanks very much, John. Mike Clemens took a helmet in the elbow a moment ago, had no feeling in his left hand. The doctor said, "Are you okay?" He says, "I don't know." All of a sudden, the interception happens. He says, "I'm fine." Grabbed his helmet, ran on the field.
Yeah, that sounds like number 31. Back for the final 3 minutes to Memorial Stadium in Baltimore. We've got a timeout here, but still, there's a ball game to be decided. Don Matthews versus Bob Obilovich on CFL Live. Into the final 3 minutes now with the Argos hanging on to a 30-24 lead. A moment ago, it didn't look like it was quite as safe as it does right now, but there's still a lot of football to be played. Back-to-back interceptions. And I don't think those shirts are legal in this state, are they?
Ah, that's an old one.
No, it's got the new logo on it.
Does it?
Yes,
Oh,
sir.
okay, well, I don't know.
It's the horse with no name. Baltimore. Slack has it open up again. This is 3 times that Slack has run for a first down in the very same situation.
I think strategically the Baltimore defense is making a large mistake. I think they can afford to take number 91, their middle linebacker, Ricky Andrews, and use a spy technique on the quarterback. The run by Reggie Slack is starting to kill Baltimore late in the game, and they really have nobody assigned to him. And I think they have to change quickly.
Pinball has run for over 100 yards, and Reggie Slack is closing in on that too. 11 carries for 92. This is first down. Argos at the Baltimore 50, and the pinball gets the call again. Ran into Gerald Bayless, old teammate. 3 yards the gain.
Well, now the mission for the Toronto Argonauts with 2:24 to go is to obviously try and pick up another first down, but to just slowly work the clock. I'm sure that's what Bob Obilovich told them when they came onto the field after the interception by Donnie Moen.
Second and 7, Argos. Just inside the Baltimore 50. Here comes the heat. And Slack escaped once more, but he won't get the first down this time. Stopped short by almost 4 yards. O.J. Brigance was there.
Yeah, I think that time on second and long, they paid a lot closer attention to Reggie Slack because they knew that there was no question. He was thinking run here. He doesn't want to throw the ball again after throwing the interception to Irvin Smith. That's solid defense. Now what the Argonauts will want to do with Lamley is to try and pin them deep in their own end.
Smith is deep, 1 man.
Yeah, a lot easier to kill the ball on this field with the soft grass, too.
And 1 point is rather important here, too.
And that's what he's going to get, I think.
Now it's a touchdown separating these two teams. Baltimore trades a single point for a little field position.
Yeah,
the Argos lead by a touchdown.
Yeah, I don't think you can fault the strategy of Wayne Lamley either. He's getting the high five on the way off the field because converted touchdown now looks a lot better than just 6 points.
Well, converted touchdown makes Baltimore tie unless they went for the 2-pointer, but I think you'd play for overtime at that stage, wouldn't you?
I would think so. So cut wrench time for Bob Obilovich, desperately hoping to pull one out here in Baltimore. And there you see the scenario, 1:38 to go. John Kajemi has been hot since he's come into the game. Had a few drops, but other than that, he has been really on target. Sets us up for a great finish.
1:38 to go. The Argos lead by a touchdown at 31-24. And some early movements somewhere down there. We'll sort that out for you with 1:37 to go. Good ball game.
We have a flag on the play.
Nice place to watch a game. You're right on top of the action here.
Yeah, and you look at the situation. Tracy Ham's out. You know how well he runs the hurry-up offense. John Congemi's pretty good at it, too. He's had a lot of experience. His 7th year in the league. Obviously, he's been able to take teams down the field in a 2-minute drill before. And what he'll want to do is just get some passes off and make sure his guys hustle back, get on the line of scrimmage, and don't waste any precious seconds here.
1st and 15, Baltimore. Back to the 30 now after the penalty. Shotgun Congemi. Sideline pass. And Congemi is off the target. Looking for a call down there is Robert Clark, but there's no penalty marker anywhere.
And that's really good technique by Keita Crespina. He's just riding Clark towards the sideline ever so subtly. Nothing to warrant attention for an interference call, but just riding him ever so gently with that shoulder, and there was no way Clark could get to the ball. Keita Crespina, I mean, this is on-the-job training for young defensive backs in this league. He's been burned this year, but he's also made his share of solid plays. There he is.
You have to learn sometime.
Yeah, this is on-the-fire training.
7 points separating these two teams. It is now 2nd and 15, Baltimore. Big defensive sequence for the Argos as Congemi looks to the far side, and he's off target and out of bounds. Joe Washington was the closest Baltimore receiver.
And you know, a whole defense works together. Reggie Pleasant had slipped and Washington was open, but it was the hustle of Swift Birch, number 90, who forced Congemi to throw it high. And you know, you can sure make your teammates look good sometime when you get that extra effort up front and a little extra pass rush. You don't have to get the sacks, but you just have to get the pressure.
3rd and 15, and Don Matthews has to kick it away, even with a 1:23 to go. No rush. The pinball. Chased back to the 30. Slip sliding to the 40-yard line with 1:12 to play. 11-yard return after a 51-yard punt, and Malcolm Goodwin led the tacklers. It's another tough night of slugging for the pinball Mike Clemens. I hope they pay him well.
I think they do. He's got a new contract this year. I think this hit looks, it looks worse than it really was. Pinball was kind of slipping as he went down here. There, the feet go under. Yeah, that one looked worse.
Defender over top. Mazzotti to the near side on 1st and 10, Toronto, with 1:12 to go. And again, it's Mike Clemens. Nowhere to go this time. Walton, number 4, Alvin Walton, coming up to make the tackle on pinball for a 3-yard loss. A 1:08 to go.
Now this becomes an interesting call. Now, what do you do? Kind of bite the bullet here and play conservative, and if you don't get it, kick it away with giving Baltimore still plenty of time.
Baltimore has called a timeouts. (31-24), a touchdown separating these two teams, and what has been a great ball game. If you joined us moments ago, or at least in the last little while, Tracy Ham was taken off with a severe injury, and he'll miss a couple of weeks.
I'll guarantee you Don Matthews is still feeling pretty good about his situation here. 1:08 to go. He's got Toronto 2nd and long, and I would, if you were standing right beside him right now, I know he'd tell you, yeah, we've got lots of confidence. We've got still a great shot to tie this game in and tie it up and take it to overtime.
2nd and 14 for the Argos. 1:08 on the clock. Swinging it out of the backfield. Slack got it to Ford. Ford couldn't get anywhere. O.J. Brigance. He's come on in the second half and made a couple of key defensive tackles. That wasted 6 seconds. Now 1:02 to play.
Yeah, here's some pretty solid defense by the corner, Carl Anthony. Watch as they run the swing. He's in a zone coverage. His only responsibility is to come up and take this area, and he does it perfectly. And Dwayne Ford really has no chance to pick up the first down here. Here comes Anthony. Solid play in the backfield.
Family is in to punt.
Solid defense.
52 seconds on the clock, and Lamley's trying to waste as much as he possibly can. Here comes the charge. And Lamley gets it to roll out at the 31-yard line. 36 seconds to play.
John, I really fault number 36, Lester Smith, right there for allowing that ball to hit the ground. He was standing back about 48 yards to receive a Lamley punt. Now, that's a player just not knowing the situation. Lamley's not going to kick it over his head. He should be at 35 to 40 yards, no further. He cost his team 10 valuable yards right there.
36 seconds left, and yards in time, the enemy now of Baltimore. Ball is spotted at the 31. Walter Wilson to the near side. It's Congemi at quarterback. One touchdown separating these two teams. Congemi and the receiver, Walter Wilson. Little mix-up in signals down there. Tommy Henry over to make the, or was over covering at least. So 31 seconds now. Argos leading by a touchdown.
And for John Congemi, he has to know Toronto's going to be in a zone defense. That's their strength. That's what they like to do the most, and certainly in critical situation where they're protecting a lead. So in the huddle now, he's calling a zone pattern. That time, Wilson, he was expecting him to go to the out, but here's some sort of zone route where they want to get a receiver just to sit down in an open area.
On 2nd and 10, Congemi throwing on the run, sideline pattern. He'll have the first down.
That's a great catch by Robert Clark, and he just sat in the soft spot out there, waited for Congemi to find him. Pretty easy when you know what to expect. They're expecting zone, and they're adjusting their patterns accordingly. Clark just will sit. Here he comes. There he is at the bottom of your screen. He just sits down out there.
First down, Baltimore with 24 seconds on the clock. Baltimore trailing by a touchdown. Congemi looks to the other side this time. As a target, first down. 18 seconds remaining. That time, number 84, Walter Wilson. A 12-yard gain.
A good pattern, right thing to do. They've only got 18 seconds, though. Now the clock is working against them, and it's Toronto's greatest ally. And at some point, I think they're going to have to go over the top a little more. They're losing precious seconds here.
Yeah, the clock is running. It's now reading 9 seconds as Congemi sets up to throw this one, and that one is into the turf with 5 seconds to go.
And unless Toronto does something crazy here, this should be their ball game.
One play to go. They can fan out.
Donnie Bone, he's out in the middle of the field, and he's just telling his defensive backs, you get back there about 30 yards. He's directing traffic and
get back, way back. Last chance for Baltimore, barring a penalty. 2nd and 10. Congemi has to go deep. This will be a jump ball, and it hits the turf with 0-0 unofficially on the clock. No markers anywhere, and that's the old ball game, folks. Bob Obilovich has his 101st victory as a CFL head coach, and Don Matthews falls one back in that particular category.
Well, I think the Argonauts should be thrilled with their performance here in Baltimore. This is a tough place to come in as a road team and play. And yes, Tracy Ham was hurt. He was out of the ball game. That was probably a contributing factor to the outcome. But don't take anything away from the Argonauts' performance. Offensively, they were solid. Defensively, they made the key plays. Donnie Bone's interception, was that any good?
Yeah, that was all right. Slack has a nice night. So does the pinball Michael Clemens. And Obi should celebrate the win that pinball helped him get. He ran for 2 and threw for the other one as the